Let's go. I think the big difference there was probably the budget for us. We didn't quite have that budget, but a very similar process.
Yeah. But I mean, we had to because it was COVID. I mean, that's when you thought the big shift was going to go streaming only.
So, it kind of did for a minute.
It did.
And you were kind of clever. I was thinking about this earlier. Some of the stuff that you did during COVID was pretty sharp. I mean, not that I would think anything different, but are
we recording right
you
now?
were doing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we just try to roll into it, keep it flowy and
keep it real, dude.
So what happens is like people will think that it's staged and like, Justin is he wants you to ask certain questions and prompt certain things, and we just try to avoid that at all. Like
so I should go off the script.
A little bit. Just but no, like during COVID you were like wrapping shit around your house. You were like a lot of the content was it was really like a little bit more behind the scenes than what you've ever done before that I can remember.
Well, it had to though.
Yeah.
Because we had our members and I wanted to create content. And then, I mean, I traveled up in that year. I had 45 workshops scheduled and I went from 45 to 2, So, I mean, that's a pretty big drop, and that's, that's a massive income for me too as well. So that was interesting. But then, with the Rap Institute, we were pivoting to Germany anyway. So we built up the studio and Reiner was cool with that. And we invested in all the equipment and then we started doing live. So, yeah, I mean, it was just interesting to just try that, because I mean, people you forget. I mean, you're crossing the street and you're pushing the buttons with your elbow because you don't want to get COVID and stuff. I mean, but COVID was very serious for me.
Sure.
My business partner died from COVID.
No way.
Yeah. So that was in early May of COVID, 2020.
Who's your business partner?
His name was Scott Bechtel, and he had a company called Car App City. And so he was my partner in 2014.
Out of Texas.
Yeah.
I remember when, I can't remember what year it was, but it was like there was a moment there where like that was like your headquarters. Like you were there.
For sure. That was my headquarters.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he died.
That sucks.
Yeah, it was heavy. Yeah. But at the time I was just, and I feel bad for his wife and son. That was heavy. So I mean, COVID, you look back on it, you're like, why was it such a serious thing? And
sure.
That first round was heavy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
Well, I remember like seeing like, it's funny you said with the elbow thing. Like I remember people talking about like there were memes of like wrestlers like kicking the toilet hand like in the public stuff. It's hard to bounce back from somebody passing away. That really sucks. Man.
No, I mean, I don't mean to say, but everything in life happens for a reason,
sure.
So that was, it really changed the way I saw the Rap Institute and do business and handle life. It was really, because he was a partner who was supposed to handle the admin and the website side of the business. And that got handed to me very quickly at a very interesting time, and then I had to do business in Germany. And I was doing, open the Rap Institute in Munich, which was an hour flight from my house. So in some ways it was easier that way. And Reiner was, Rap Institute's 10 minutes from Reiner's house. So
is it, he's interesting.
Yeah.
We went and I went to a class with him at Miller's place.
Yeah.
And just like the little bit of time, like every time he opened his mouth, it was like something new. Like, like he's a magician and a comedian and like he does like the stuff with the army and like he's a very interesting cat.
He's an interesting cat. Yeah. He's got a lot on his plate.
Like 4 businesses or something, right?
Yeah.
Like is that something? And I've seen it. So since then I follow him on Instagram and like the Rap Institute, is it all in the same place? Like is it, cause he's got the paint protection film company, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
So, well, he's got a sign shop.
Yep.
And then he has a Rap Institute and then he has a PPF shop that's kind of connected to his sign shop. So he has those things, but then he's also president of the Gun Club, and the Gun Club's this, old school, thing in Germany, whatever. He's in Bavaria, so Reiner's like full lederhosen, traditional.
He wears the shorts. I've seen him.
He wears the shorts, man, and those shorts are fucking expensive. I mean, they're like $2,000, $3,000 just.
And then
for
I just seen him the other day. Like I think maybe he's like creating his own lures for like fly fishing or something.
He makes all his lures. He's a fly fisherman. Yeah, so I mean, he's an interesting dude. He's all over the map. But
how'd you meet him? Where'd that come from?
I just on the Rap Institute. When I first started the Rap Institute, and you're thinking about scaling and growing and also connecting with the community. One of the things we had was like if you were a Rap Institute member and you submitted a technique or a tip, we would put your logo in front of the video and say this was created by, and we'd give you props, and then we'd show the video and we'd edit it and do this stuff. So we had people stuff, and Reiner just started throwing stuff in.
Really?
And it's just a clever angles and because he knew what we were doing, and then he had his own angle, and he's good like that of like knowing what people are doing and doing something off that is interesting, but it's still within, good technique and logic.
Sure, like perspective. Like he gives his own little twist to it.
Yeah, I mean, like he rolled up the backing paper and made that like a bumper pole and did that. I've never seen that before, stuff like that. So he was doing, he does really innovative stuff and comes up with really innovative tools and techniques. And,
Did you have a lot of success with that? Like opening up the platform to have people like,
no,
he was one of the people like,
one of the few.
really?
Yeah. I mean, because
How cool is that?
well, people just want to watch.
Sure.
So I was hoping that they would want to submit, but they didn't, and that's fine, But now I think with the new website, when we launch it, we're working with influencers, and people are going to have their own channel, and we have our endorsed trainers, and we're going to give them a platform. So the idea is to really open up the site and make it for the public.
I mean, it's already pretty open, man. I mean,
It's not open at all. I mean, right now, we're a unicorn. I mean, how many website services are completely 100% behind a paid wall? We have no free content. And now that's going to change next week. So we're changing our, because I was very much like, okay, here's very good techniques.
Hold on, we got to roll this back. You can't. That's big. So,
yeah.
Explain what you just said. Just slow it down just a little bit for me. I want to make sure that. So historically, you when you get on the Rap Institute, you have to pay.
Yeah.
That's not the thing no more.
Well, I mean, it's not 100% free, no,
Right.
but we're going to have content that people can have like a 7-day trial. I mean, just normal stuff that normal sites do.
Okay.
So, but we just didn't do for the longest time, just because I'm a believer of, we never made it expensive. But if we're going to give these good techniques that are, come from real world experience and enhance you, I don't want to just give that for, to the open public. Because we're at the end of the day, Rap Institute is geared towards professionals.
Right.
So I'm interested in growing the rap industry, not the DIY market. So for me, I want to give people who are, this is how you make a profession, all that kind of stuff. I want to give you a platform that's really focused on quality, durability, and efficiency. And how can you train new employees? How can you build your own business and lower install times on anything, or design times or production, and make more money? So, I think that's something you should pay for. I don't want to just give it to Joe, because there's, as a business owner, there's always someone who comes in cheap, doesn't understand the business. They're going to low cut prices, and that hurts the industry as a whole. So I'm trying to create a buffer and a zone where people can trust and they go, but I'm not going to give that for, if I give it for free, it hurts. But the Rap Institute is cheap as dirt.
Right. But now you're in an interesting situation though. You're saying that now you're going to, some of that is going to be for free. Why the change now?
Just this business. Not to make money. I didn't say that wrong. So my point is, any business who has a platform for training, Udemy, all that kind of stuff, you get a 7-day free trial, or you get, there's some videos that you can taste, see if you like the product, and then you buy it. It's just natural business. And we just kept it closed for a long time. And I don't think that was the best business move, in the sense of, why would I commit $179 to a thing if I can't see a single video? I'm not going to do that. So here's a couple videos. What do you think of the thing? And buy it. It's just business. It's not giving it for free.
Well, there's a couple things there I want to talk about. Sure. One is, before we came in, you were asking about, what the hell are we going to talk about, and what are we, how's this going to shake down? I think that
I'm a podcast virgin.
I'm glad to pop your cherry. I guess I could be the guy. Yeah. But for you, I think that people don't get to see the business side of you very often. You know what I mean? It's all sticking, right? It's there's the guy with the squeegee. Watch him do his trick, right? But they could easily forget that you're a businessman. You have to make business decisions. So I say that, right. And then I want to follow that up with, I think that it's interesting that you don't have any real competition.
Oh, I do, for sure.
From my perspective. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong. Who the hell are you competing with?
Well, YouTube.
Okay.
Instagram, but there's also people like, for better or for worse, Institute, okay. I have some things with him, but
yeah.
Jay the Rapper's doing good stuff. He's very popular on TikTok. I kind of got the backstory for that, which is cool. And, so, people are doing their jams and doing trainings and stuff.
Do you really think that any of those are real competition?
I don't see it as competition.
Okay.
I don't see any competition. I don't think of things as competition. If you do you do you, and I'll be me, and and if we can help each other grow.
But from a business standpoint, from if we're looking at it from business, I don't see anybody that's really competing with you. And I say that I'm more or less, I'm looking at it like, I think that it's kind of cool that you're making these adjustments as if there is somebody else competing with you. But from my perspective, I'm like, man, why would you change something that works?
It works, but it doesn't work because I want to get a broader audience. My goal is to double and triple the membership by the end of the year. Jeez. And we could do that because we're a closed platform, and we want the website's old, and we haven't done it for a long time, and that's also part of getting handed the whole company, and doing stuff that I wasn't particularly crazy about doing it. Okay. So it's taken me a while to pivot and grow, and dealing with the business in Germany and the Netherlands and America. It's very complicated. Plus, I'm doing training for Avery and traveling across the world. So it is, but I am in
And
the
I
work.
just seen there's another country now, right? I don't want to botch this up, but I want to say it was like Peru or something. Or have you added another Rap Institute?
Well, we have, we have the endorsed trainers across the world that these are trainers that we think really hit a never stop learning attitude, and they work with manufacturers and they're trusted. And then we have a training center in France and a training center in Brazil. That's GMIS does this thing. Yeah. But those are, they just represent, it's not like that's our focus and that's our core focus. Our core focus is videos and training. And
gotcha. Even with the facility in Munich?
We actually, right now, to be honest with you, we've pivoted, so basically we've turned the whole studio. We've spent X amount of money over Christmas and we built this beautiful bowl, right? So it's just white filming studio and we're doing all our filming there. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's badass is what it is.
And, that's Reiner's like, I think we need this. And so we're investing and growing. So we basically turned the Rap Institute Munich into just an entire state-of-the-art studio.
No way.
Yeah, it's cool. But that's also, with the Ford program coming up, we got to do that.
Why is that?
Filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a critical element to the Ford program?
Well, I don't want to wrap, I take the thing, we got
I guess let's roll that back. All right. What is the Ford program? For those that are living under a rock that may not know what's going on, I think this is a good opportunity.
Well, the industry has been evolving towards OEM for a while. And so basically, I've known Tiago, who owns XX 3D, and he's, we've been doing stuff for years with the Rap Institute, and he'd be, in our booth and doing stuff, and just a great guy. And hence, he owns a company called Second Skin in Toronto. So a couple of years ago, he's like, JP,
that's his graphics company, Second Skin?
Second Skin.
Yeah. Now, the software company, is there two parts to that? I thought when just talking with him briefly at Vegas, I thought he was explaining so you have the virtual portion of it that anybody can essentially set up in their rap shops, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then now this new program, this is completely different. So it's almost like two separate programs that they're doing. Is that correct?
Kind of. Basically, but basically the end of story. He has the contract with Ford, so it's through XX3. So it's the Ford Rap program with XX3D.
Got it.
So it's an official thing. So they're the official partner of Ford. We are now the official partner for XX, and it's all under what's called Xeno. So Xeno is their visualizer, but it's also the Xeno certified as the training program for XIX.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So we're creating.
So it's all the same thing. It's almost like
yeah. But it's branded Xeno. So Xeno certified is going to be this universal ideal thing that program is kind of what's going to be plugging into all the OEMs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as of right now, it's Ford.
Yes.
Okay. And so that they're starting with Ford and you're doing all the training stuff for that.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that look like?
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's an amazing
It
opportunity.
seems overwhelming.
No,
there's a lot of different cars.
Yeah, but it's what I've been training my whole career for. This is what I've always wanted to do, and I've had different opportunities to scale and do volume because that's what I like to do is create programs that scale and volume where you can do high quality raps at a high volume. I've always been interested in that. That's my jam. So
not necessarily you individually, but like building programs that help the industry do that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but people don't. I was a freelance installer from 1996 to 2007, and I didn't know that I was wrapping cars fast. I would count my moves and I'd get them down. I'd get it streamlined. So, when I did a fleet of 90 cars, and that was like the big thing where I did 90 cars in 22 days with 2 people, right? So we had those cars down to an hour and 22 minutes per car. Cool. So we were just banging those cars, complete wraps, clean, installed, done. Next car, door handles, mirrors, bumpers, the whole thing.
What kind of cars were they?
Priuses. Right. So we had those cars down to an hour and 22 because I had a very good formula. I can calculate it to the minute. And so as a freelance installer, that was a good month. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So, but then when I moved to Europe, I got on bigger fleets. I did a job with those 1,200 Sprinter vans. It was amazing. So that's where I really understand a bigger volume, and I really like that. And
I want to come back to the Ford program because there's a lot of stuff to unpack right there. Like
a lot.
Yeah. This is what I said. Like you talk really fast, and I'm trying to keep up with all that. But so I don't ever think about you being a freelance installer either. Like that's a weird thing to think about. Like Justin Pate was out on the streets, like knocking on doors, asking for work. Like that's a weird. Like where did you start?
Well, I started in New York City in 1996. I worked for a guy.
We just talked. You said you were from like Boise, right?
I grew up in Boise.
And then you went to New York.
Well, after college. So after college, I had a couple options, and I decided to go to New York. I'd always wanted to go to New York. I read, Jack Kerouac on the road, and you read about all those people going to New York.
Any experience sticking decals at that point?
No, I didn't even know it existed.
So, that's strange too.
Well, growing up in Boise, Idaho, Boise,
not a lot of rap shops in Boise.
Well, Braps didn't really exist. This is 1996.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I mean, this is car wrapping really kind of color change wrapping for vehicles, particularly. I mean, I think the digital industry or wrapping industry started, 92, 93. That's when the printers started kind of getting okay. And the market just went up from there. So, I mean, the first printers, I would go to Big Apple signs in New York City, and those printers were like $500,000. Super expensive. Same printer now costs what, 15?
Yeah.
So it was new. Everything was new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you end up in New York. Is that where you started sticking decals?
Yeah, but for the first year, I mean, I moved there in 94 and I was 21 years old. It was awesome.
What?
Well, I mean, you go from a small town to a big town, and New
Okay.
York City was the first time I felt home in my life. First day I'm walking around, I'm like, this is the place to be.
Really?
Oh, it's freedom. New York is amazing. If you ever been
That sounds backwards. Yeah. I mean, I've been to New York, but it seems like, most people, when they think about freedom, they think about like the cornfields and they think about being in the open and it sounds like you're the complete opposite. It sounds like you came to live in the big city around all the people and everything.
Well, there's a reason why New York is New York. It's a melting pot. You see these great bands, and there's very artistic people, and you're playing pickup games, and you're doing stuff. I mean, you're hanging out with people that.
Is that you? Are you into that sort of stuff? Are
What?
you like going and seeing bands and music? And
Oh, of course. Yeah. I've seen everyone. Yeah.
So you're a music guy.
I like music. I mean, it was cool. Where I went to school in Oregon, Portland, Oregon, or I was just south of Portland, Oregon. It was just a lot of bands came through there when I was growing up, when I was going to school there. So they would play in San Francisco, and then they'd stop in Salem or Portland and play, and then they'd go to Seattle. So that was
What did you
kind
go to school for?
I went to school and I created my own major. So I created my major in mythology and symbolism.
Mythology and symbolism.
Yeah.
Why mythology and symbolism?
Well, I mean, I had to choose a major, and I was going to do something like in humanities, and I knew that I wanted to maybe become a professor.
Okay.
So I didn't like any of the literature and stuff like that. And one of the professors was like, you can create your own major if you want. It's complicated, but you can. So I liked mythology and symbolism and stuff like that. So I chose it and created it, and they approved it, and that was my major. It was great because I had just one-on-ones with professors.
Did you think that, what can you do with that?
I was going to just become a professor.
And you would teach that major, or you would teach classes to lead to that major, I guess?
Yeah, I was going to go to University of Chicago and get my master's and get my doctorate and become a professor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
To go from, I guess you're a teacher, right?
Well, I mean, it set the tone for what I do. I mean, I think that's why when I teach a training and stuff like that, I mean, I just got done teaching I gave a speech in Barcelona at HP headquarters about 2 weeks ago. And I gave a speech about how a wrap shop is just like being a restaurant. So you have a cook, and you have a chef, and you have the waiter, and you have the waitress, and you have the bartender, and you have all that kind of stuff. And a wrap shop, you have your designer and your production and your installer. So it's the kind of same dynamics. So I was like, take what you learn from restaurants. And I said, think about your favorite restaurant. What do you like about it? And the people were like, I like the food, or I like the feel. And I said, well, how do you feel about that restaurant? Would you go there all the time? They're like, yeah. And I said, well, your goal is to make your wrap shop, make your customers feel about your wrap shop the same way you feel about your favorite restaurant. How do you do it? But that comes from mythology and symbolism. How do you take something that's real world and put it into something that's kind of abstract to make people better understand? And that's kind of what I do.
That's cool. See, that's another side of you that I wouldn't have thought that I don't even want to call that artistic, because that's even it's almost deeper than art, because it's
Deep, dude.
Yeah, it is. It sounds deep. Like trying to get my head wrapped around the fact that you even wanted to create a major is an interesting thing. Like you just get to a point to where you're like, you know what? I'm just going to do my own thing. Like I'm just
Why
going
not? I mean, I created the Wrap Institute. There's no such thing as before.
Right.
Why not?
And there still isn't. That's kind of what I was getting at earlier with your competition, is like there isn't anything else like it. It's odd to me, really. I feel like there should be.
Yeah, but I mean, there's more and more trainings today now. I mean, think about how many people are doing trainings. I mean, everyone, their mother's a trainer right now.
Sure.
So, yeah, I think
that makes me feel great. Thanks, Justin. That's great.
No, but I mean, Molly has his own shop in his area. You're doing training. I mean, it's just more training now. But it just tells you how big the industry is getting.
Right.
Like Eastman has a full. I think they have 100 trainers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's legit. I mean, it's great. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think training tells you that the industry is growing and people need it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, but coming back to Ford, I mean, if you want to go there, I mean,
yeah.
Tiago has the contract with Ford. I mean, he's a visionary on this type of stuff, and we're very happy to be part of the program. And I think this program is just an interesting puzzle. I've never had anything. I mean, Wrapify 2014 approached me, and they said, we want to do this thing. And I kind of created the program for them, and it didn't work out for them. And then Frank Fellers was going to create Speedy Wrap right before COVID, and I created the program for that. And I was happy, and people were pissed off about it. But it's no different. Like, I mean, his idea, I mean, it was flawed in some ways, but it was also a great idea. You know, he was betting on high volume and McDonald's style of wrapping in the industry. It's not going to affect everyone else. In fact, I think it would have helped people. So I know that people were pissed off, but I think it's great. And the one thing I like about the Ford program, though, and the reason why I agreed to do it is this is being done at wrap shops and not being done at dealerships. I mean, the dealers are getting blocked out of this whole thing, so which is it's good for us.
No, I think I think that it could be exciting, but it what's the process? Let's start there. How does the end user, how are they made aware of that this thing even exists?
Well, I mean, Ford.
Okay. That's a good
good
place to start.
Okay. I mean, I remember it's interesting how things have evolved. I remember years ago, I started working with Frank Fellers, right? And I always I don't know, I just liked the guy. I liked his vision. I liked how he does stuff. It was nice to get to know him. I mean, he's not in the industry anymore, but it was nice to get to know him. And a couple times I hung out.
You still talk to him? I'm just curious.
I mean, if I texted him right now, I'd say, I mean, I was like, once in a while, I was like, Frank, how you doing? He's like, good. And I just did a thing with Fellers in Austin 2 days ago, and Carl was his right hand man. And Carl said, hey, I just talked to Frank. He says hi, so cool. There's still that thing. And I know he's happy. He's doing good. But basically, him and I were, riding horses on his ranch and shit like that. And which is cool. And he just said, the biggest problem in our industry, this is 2018. He's like, 3M and Avery and all these people are spending money, but they're spending money on the industry where they need to be spending money outside the industry. Like 3M should get a commercial and put it on the Super Bowl, or Avery should get a commercial and put it on the Super Bowl. He's like, get the public aware of what we're doing because they're not aware. And it was true. And so he was kind of a visionary ahead of his time. So,
but not necessarily like you just said it a minute ago about DIYers, right? Like you're not necessarily for those people. You're saying for the end user, for the guy that's
100%
purchasing the wrap. Well,
if Joe and Susie have $2,000 at the end of the month, extra money, they can either go to the restaurant or they can buy some pants or whatever. Mm-hmm. They should think that I should be able to wrap the hood of my roof of my car with carbon film. That should be part of their conversation, be part of their process. Mm-hmm. And I think the industry is slowly getting to that point. I think COVID accelerated it for sure because now people were sitting at home and they're like, what do? I can't go on vacation. I'll wrap my car. So I know a lot of people are booming during COVID because they became aware of wraps, right?
Got it.
So my point is, though, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that when Ford starts doing their advertising, which the program finally launches this month, so it's theoretically at the end of July. I mean, I'm thinking in fall when you're watching, who do you guys watch? Football, whatever, basketball. Yeah. It's going to
racing.
I'm anticipating seeing a commercial that says, hey, did you know you can wrap your car? There's a Ford wrap program by XIX, wrap your car. And people are going to be watching a football game and they can literally go on their phone, choose the color of the car they want, choose the wrap shop in their neighborhood, and they got a wrap on their car.
So have you guys started doing videos for the training stuff for that?
Oh, they're all done.
All done.
Yeah, that's what I did. So
How is that possible? There's a lot of Ford cars.
So they're starting off with 7.
Okay.
So
that's a little easier then.
Yeah.
Manageable.
But I mean, it sounds easy, but it's not.
No.
So, I mean, I was supposed to actually get a lot of them done right before SEMA. So before SEMA, I was working like a crazy man because they were going to launch the program in November. So I had to have most of the videos done. So that was crazy. So we got a lot of that done, but then we had time.
So what's a video look like when it's got to be a breakdown of every part and piece on that car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when you go in, you're essentially, because you guys want to make, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to understand it.
Sure.
And so you're trying to make a video to where if a guy comes and drops off his 2021 Ford F-150.
Correct.
We pull up the videos and it says, hey, I want you to wrap this C-post this way or the bedside this way. And here's step-by-step on how to take it apart. Exactly. Here's how you clean it. These are the tools that you use. This is your checklist. You're providing that.
It's all done.
It's all done.
That's a lot. It was cool. But I mean, as I said, my whole career was going towards this and we knew how to do it. I think if Tiago had brought this to us 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do it. But now I got a good team and I got a good camera crew and I got enough staff and people. And now I can say, okay, this is the vision. This is what I want. Here's the formula. Because it's scale. I mean, we've made 7 make and models. And then within each make and model, there's different versions. So now we know within the Bronco from 2021 to 2024, which ones have door handles, which ones don't have door handles that need to be wrapped the roof. So it's like super complicated, but it's cool.
You just mentioned your team. How big is your team?
Right now we're 12.
12 people.
But we're getting ready to get big.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as the gas turns on for Ford, who knows? If it doesn't turn on, it doesn't turn on. But if it turns on, we're ready.
You got to be able to put out more content. Is that what you're saying? You got to be able to.
Well, Ford, I mean, yeah, I mean, you have to, I mean, so what you learn in business, you know, and I think anyone who's kind of young, but or if you get big, you kind of have to, how do I say it? So years ago, we renovated our house, right? So we renovated, you know, when I first moved to the Netherlands, we had one floor. And then 2 weeks after Tyler was born, we got the second floor. So it came open. And then, so we renovated because they were old. And I remember we did the top floor because it was an attic. And the contractor was like, you know, are you going to eventually do the bottom floor? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm going to set all the pipes up. So if you do the bottom floor, we can just plug right into it. It's like, cool. So now what we've done with Ford, and I know enough about business now, where with Ford now, the challenge to my team was for these first 7 cars, right? I want to create such a cool system and a process that once this is done, we can scale without skipping a beat. So a lot of our time was put into that.
Oh, the process.
Yeah. So now for a PDF now, for the PDFs they have, we can make those PDFs and we know exactly the process. So everything's timed down to the second.
More of a plug and play. You've got a layout.
Right. So now we're able to scale.
Got it.
Right. And now I work really good with XIX's team. We're on Discord. We have all the chats and stuff like that. So if cool. I know it's like, okay, I'm shooting in LA in 2 weeks and I'm finishing up some videos, I'm doing a Ford Lightning. So now all the materials going there. My camera crew's flying in from Germany. We got all this stuff set up. We got the Ford dealership set up. Cool. I'm using stuff from Adam Sumner's. One of Adam Sumner's training, he's coming in.
That's cool.
So I got all the setup, and now we know how to make all the templates and do all the stuff. So we have a system now.
Hasn't always been that way.
No, chaos.
Yeah. So when you were the DVDs, was that the first?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that like? Let's take it back, right? I want to hear, because I'm like, I pulled them up not long ago just to, you know, just kind of nostalgia, just look back and just say, man, that's cool. But like, why did you go down that route? I mean, it sounds like you were doing good as an installer.
It's great.
Yeah. So why would you stop doing that and go into, because again, I think the only person, maybe Rob Ivers had some VHSs or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a little bit of training here and there from manufacturers, but
I think the first DVD training video out there was 1998, and Orfel trainer from Germany, yeah, and he made a video, and I remember seeing him do stuff or whatever, Manfred, and so I remember seeing that like in '98, it was just like a DVD, and then, you know, I think for me, my take on the industry has always been, you know, I picked up a squeegee in 1996. And at that time, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, my friend Ryan was the 35th employee at Amazon, and my friend Bryce was the 37th. You know, and I went to his wedding, and I sat next to Bezos, and I didn't even know who he was. I just ignored him.
Was he anybody at that point?
Was he what?
Was he anybody at that point?
No. He just owned this company that sold books.
Yeah.
You know, he was a competitor for Barnes and Noble, and my friend Ryan was just kept on saying he's not really interested in books. He's interested in data. I mean, this is '95. You know what I'm saying? Who talked about data? I mean, the guys from Google kind of had sensed that or whatever, but that wasn't part of the mainstream conversation about the internet until like the 2010, 2011, they started talking. I mean, these guys thought about data back in the day. So how he was getting data was by selling stuff cheap and easy, you know, which was really interesting. So that planted the seed in my head. And so when I picked up a squeegee, I was like, this is a new industry. And it's kind of a new industry like the internet. And I thought, okay, I'm going to model some of my moves in the industry, you know, based on what Amazon's doing. So I just kind of was always aware of that. Even as a freelance installer, I just got busier and busier every year. And I said, okay, there's a wave moving right now. And I didn't even think about training. But then I met my wife in 2004, and her parents are teachers. So she says, how you explain things, you can make something complicated. Like I explained to her how a nuclear power plant works.
You've done it like 4 times since we've been sitting here. You're pretty good at it. It's cool.
Well, but she said that, you know, I explained how it works, and she understood it. She's like, you should be a teacher.
Is she from the Netherlands?
Yeah, she's Dutch.
So you met in New York?
Yeah, met through an artist, and it was cool.
Yeah,
special.
So, and then you decided to move to the Netherlands. So now you live in the Netherlands. You both live in the Netherlands. You live in the Netherlands.
Yeah, well, I mean, we went back and forth because we love to travel. I mean, she's been traveling since she was 14, you know, so she started traveling the world and stuff and doing stuff. And then we loved going back and forth. So she would spend a month in New York, and then we'd go apart for 2 weeks. And then I'd come to the Netherlands for 2 weeks, and we'd hang out, and just did that for 2 years. But then she got pregnant with our daughter, and we had to choose. You know, you can't do that with a kid. So it was either New York or the Netherlands, and her family's there, and her mom and dad and her sister lives in the same town. So, and she's pregnant. So, and I love Amsterdam. It was cool. So it was a big move, though.
Had you been there? Oh yeah, you were traveling.
I visited, but I mean, before my wife, I never had a passport. I mean, but think about it. I mean, I was making very, very good money in New York, and I picked up everything. I sold literally everything I had, except for 2 suitcases. And I moved to a different country where I didn't speak the language. And my daughter was born 3 weeks later. It was heavy.
I bet so, dude. That's got to be intense.
Well, I mean, and
any English there, or they?
Oh, they speak perfect English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they speak English, French, German, and Dutch. They all speak 4 languages.
Really?
Oh, it's amazing.
That's cool.
But it was scary because I called 20 companies and no one called me back. My phone was
in
the Netherlands. Yeah, my phone was silent for 2 months. It was scary as shit.
So your wife's pregnant.
Gave birth. Yeah.
Oh, so and you're not working.
Yeah, it was scary. I was like, what did I just do? But my wife is cool. I scratched enough in the money that year where I had money saved, of course, but it was scary going from like literally solid 6 figures to 0. And so then all of a sudden it was like,
what did she do?
She was a TV presenter for a long time. So
what does that mean?
She was a host she had her own hour-long TV show today. And then she also did she hosted Top of the Pops, which is a big British music show. She did that for a long time. She
was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but she always had her feet on the ground, and she always, her, yeah. So I mean, if she ever told you a story, she like someone comes on and she's like, oh, they're super nice, and you're like, yeah, you know them? Oh, they used to stay at my house all the time. So
really,
but I mean, but at the same time, it was a job for her too. But I mean, she has great stories, But so yeah, she did TV, but then she was a writer, and now she's truly at her heart, she's a writer. So she wrote for the New York Times of the Netherlands. She had a full Sunday article every week, and they let her choose anyone she wanted to interview. So it was cool.
When you say she's a writer, so like a journalist, like a traditional journalist, like so she would watch, or she go and give her thoughts on a real life event, not necessarily like fictional, something that she makes up off the top of her head that she's just writing down to tell a story.
No, I mean, mostly it'd be interviews. Okay. So like she would interview and
I seen a clip where she had interviewed Dolly Parton.
Right.
And when I could watch like 4 times and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, who is this lady? And why is Justin Pate's wife interviewing? Because from my perspective, you're the famous one.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's so funny.
I'm looking at him like, well, this lucky lady gets to marry Justin Pate. Like, this is pretty.
The opposite. I'm the lucky one for sure.
Really?
Oh, for sure.
That's cool.
She's amazing. So,
so if she's got a background in that, did that play part? You said something about her parents, like you being on camera and you doing the teaching thing. Like, did she play a part?
Good question. Yeah, for sure. I mean, so she put it in my head that I should be a teacher and maybe I should train. And this was 2005, 2006. And then I had a client in LA. He ran carups.net, Todd Labrie. And so he said, dude, I give you a job in New York at 9 a.m. I give the same van, same everything to a company in Miami. You call me at 11 a.m. and you say it's done, and they call me at 6 p.m. with 3 people and it's done. You're by yourself and you do it 2 hours. They do it with 3 people and they do it in 8 hours or whatever. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, the numbers don't add up.
So I said, I just have a system. I mean, that's when I did 90 cars in 22 days with 2 people, and I had them down to 1 hour and 22 minutes, and I didn't 0 comebacks.
Yeah, but the money in that, I mean, how do you give up that kind of income to take on something that new and like nobody had done
still rapping though.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, part of transitions, I mean, anyone in a business knows, right? There's the transition point. So during that transition point, you're going to work hard as fuck.
I just thought that you were the miracle person and that you just stopped doing installation and started doing training all of a sudden.
No, it's like you have to jump from car to car. It's like it's like in the movies where they have the car and they have to jump to the next one, and that jump is kind of scary. So you have to know when that jump is going to be. So like, I was
What did it look like for you in the beginning? When you went to go do a training, were you just doing it like you just cold call somebody and say, "Hey guys, do you need me to come in and teach you how to do this?" Or
no. I mean, I was an installer, and then I made a DVD, and the first DVD was horrible. It was called Real Raps 101.
So you didn't have any other, like you didn't take on any other trainer, like you weren't training for Avery or a manufacturer.
This is 2007.
So there wasn't anything. Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't train at all. I never taught a workshop until 2008 or 2009.
So you decided to you're jumping into the training stuff and you're like, okay, first thing we're going to do is make a DVD.
100%. Why not?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, because I had a system. And I mean, the thing is, that's what, they said, you're wrapping a car in 2 hours. How can you wrap a car in 2 hours? So I thought about it and I said, well, I have a system. Then I was okay, if I have a system, that's easily teachable. So I'll just make a DVD. Why would I? And so it's also about scale too. Would I ever teach 8 people or 800?
Okay.
And the idea is not to make money, but to make the industry better. I want to give my knowledge to someone so it can grow the industry because I think it's a cool industry.
Yeah, but you got to reach those people. You got to market. I mean, that's a big part of business too.
But it's DVD. You know, so I came out with Real Reps 101, which wasn't great, but it was horrible. But at the same time, I came out with Speed Rep Extra, and Speed Rep Extra is when I wrapped the van in 2 hours and 20 minutes, and no one thought it was even humanly possible to wrap that. So I put it on DVD to plant the seed. So I came up with that term, and that's kind of what put it on the map. And literally 3 months later, I came out with my first proper DVD.
So 2007. I'm glad you said proper, because that's in my head. I'm just thinking like, what did that look like? That for those first 2 videos, did you just call up your buddy and that had a camcorder?
No, I spent way too much money.
Oh, okay.
I burned money. The first Real Reps 101, it was like 50 grand.
Ooh,
it was a lot
for a DVD.
It was horrible.
Horrible how? Just the quality,
Dude, I had a chapter on patches.
Oh,
It's called patches. Now I call them creative overlays.
Sure.
Right. So, so my point is, it was okay, and we shot it in a studio in LA, and it was like whatever, and it was just
Okay.
like it was just a lot of money and learning moment, and I wrote scripts and I did shit. I just didn't know what I was doing, and the Speed Rep Extra one was part of that, you know. And then I did, you know, that first year I didn't make any money. You know, I spent all that money on that. I'm like, I'm not going to invest that, and I made like $18,000 my first year in the Netherlands. It ain't much, and my wife was like, make another DVD. I was like, but we have no money. She's like, make a DVD. I'm like, cool. You know, because she doesn't care about money. So not that we have it, but we didn't have it at the time. So she just believed in that. She knew that I learned a lot, and that she taught me a lot about how to do it next time. So I made vehicle graphic installations, which was my next DVD, which was a proper DVD.
So that, like, not to sound too cheesy, but like her believing in you was like a big part of this.
Yeah, she's totally. I mean, that's kind of why I can do what I do. You know, so she just says, you know, you have a dream, go for it, and I support you. It's dope.
So I gotta ask, you know, just because, you know, I said it earlier, I'm a dad, you're a dad. I travel a ton. It's tough.
Sure.
How do you do it?
Purpose. You know, I mean, so, you know, I moved to the Netherlands, and my wife was still doing her full-time job, and the idea was that I would stay at home because I had the DVDs and stuff like that, and I wasn't working much, and she was going to continue to work. And after 6 months, she's like, no. She's like, I want to be a mom. I want you to work. So that shifted in my head. And so I was like, okay, cool. What do I do?
So like she had a legitimate career, like
100%.
and just woke up one day and said, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to be a mom.
Yeah. And it's the best thing we ever did. I mean, to be honest, I mean, maybe a different tangent, but I mean, growing up in the 70s and 80s, you know, because I'm old, you know, is the idea is that, you know, you could legitimately have a decent life, a good life in the suburbs or whatever, and one person worked, generally the man, and the woman stayed at home and was a mom. And I think that was really good for kids, you know, to have someone at home. So the kids, you know, were coming home to an empty house and stuff like that. And I think it's really hard for people to do that today.
100%.
So did she sacrifice her career? And I'm telling you, I mean, if you could hear her story, she gave up some cool stuff, you know. But my daughter's 16 and she's the coolest kid in the world, and her feet are super. I mean, granted, it's, you know, half because she's just super cool and she really wanted to come into this world, but half is also my wife is there to talk to her and coming home from school, and COVID was rough on kids, and she could talk it out, and I think it's been good. So
I've seen her on video, like, and we met her at RapsCon, dude, and she's cool. Like she seems super mature for her age, like
100%.
Like very level-headed, and even like the content that I just seen you posted a video in the last couple of weeks, maybe last month, I don't know.
That's awesome.
But yeah, it was with you and her at the Arlon facility.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool. Like, is she into it? Like,
I was surprised. I mean, I didn't think she was going to be into the rapping thing because, I mean, we gave her, you know, we wanted her to be 100% her. So we have no agenda on, you know, if she studies hard and she gets bad grades, cool. If she studies hard and gets good grades, cool. We have no idea of what, you know, how she's going to be. We just want her to do 100%, you know, her best. So one day she just was like, she came to ISA in Atlanta 2 years ago, and that's when she first saw the Rap Institute. She sees Rap Institute at home when I'm in the office and doing stuff. And then she saw the booth and she's like, this is the Rap Institute? And I'm like, yeah. And I said, this is
Daddy's kind of a big deal.
Well, I mean,
it's important.
A big deal, you know, yeah. But I mean, but she saw it and she got it. And then she really understood the show. And then she comes to shows, and she came to RapsCon last year, not this year, but we were in the RapsCon and walking around because I just wanted her to see how it's set up.
I remember seeing her there. She was doing interviews and stuff, and she was
doing the camera work. She's cool. And she came, we're driving back, and she's like, Papa, there's not a lot of women in this industry. And I'm like, no. And she's like, well, I think if I learn how to rap, and you've already kind of built a platform, and I can kind of build up from there, and because I'm a woman, I think maybe I should get into rap. I think that's a good platform, and I'm an artist and stuff like that. So she had it in her head. And then we were in Thailand because my wife is half Thai. So we're there this summer, and my wife was like, why don't you teach workshops in Thailand? I don't know anyone in Thailand. And so she called around, and because that's what she does. And, you know, she found the biggest rap shop in Thailand, and it's run. And so Tim Evans vouch for this guy because I said, is this guy any good? So he said he's cool. So we actually went out to dinner with him, and so he actually took over the business from his father, and now they have 40 installers. They do
40?
40. So they do all the big fleets in Thailand.
For whatever reason, when you said Thailand, I just imagined a super small shop. I don't know why. Like
No, I did too, but she found the biggest one.
Well, when you say biggest, I would still imagine a small shop. I don't know why.
I mean, Bangkok's 14 million people. I mean, there's a lot of people there. So
yeah, but is marketing the same? Like, are they doing the same?
Huge, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's legit. So he does all the fleets. Like he does 1,000 cars here and 1,000 cars there.
Oh, wow.
They boom. So we went to dinner with him. He's like, well, my dad's a business guy and stuff like that, and he runs a company, and I do too. But my wife kind of now, or my fiance, runs the business part, but I'm kind of the artist guy. And so he showed all these motorcycles he's rapping with different layers of dyno oak and all this kind of stuff. And Tiger's like, so you're not really a rapper. You're kind of doing your own thing. And he's like, yeah. And so she's like, cool. That's what I'll do with the Rap Institute. So she's not going to take over the Rap Institute. I mean, she can if she wants to, but she's going to just kind of use the platform and kind of do her own thing. And that's what we're trying to do with these videos right now. Is just like,
that's cool.
Teach her, but I want her to be Tiger Lily. But if she wants to jump off the platform and learn this industry, cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah, that's exciting.
It's exciting for sure.
It's cool because
I mean,
yeah, really.
Oh, I did not think she would be interested in this.
Well, we touched on it a little bit earlier. Like during COVID, there were videos that you put out where you and her were kind of doing stuff together, and it was cool. It was it was like a good father-daughter moment, and so. But even then, like there was no like little bit of like, did you hope it even?
No, I mean,
you try not to have it.
No, I mean, I think she's going to be a really famous artist. I mean, she has. I mean, I literally legit think she has a talent for that. But yeah, I mean, we don't know. We're trying to guide her and give her as much guidance as we can. And she got into this art academy, and she's going to try that and stuff like that. But we just try to support her where she can. But we don't have any ideas.
No, that's cool.
It's
hard. It's hard not to because, I don't. Maybe it's more like for me, it's challenging because I try to be the same way. I try to leave it open, but there's times that my daughter. She'll run off on a tangent on something, and I'll think, man, what in the world has got your interest? What piques your interest in that space? She's curious. So, and I think it's a good quality. So I try to, support that as much as I can. But it gets to a point to where it's like, maybe we should just go see. Let's just go and let's go check it out and lay our eyes on it.
Yeah, but I think that's why it's like Tiger Lily. She wants to go to art school, but she's like, I don't know if I want to commit to 3 to 4 years for this. So there's a program that opened up at a famous school in the Netherlands. And it was every Saturday you could take a course, So we're like, we'll pay for it if you get in, but you have to apply. And she got in. So because she says, now if I try it for 9 months every Saturday, and if I like art school, I'll go. But if I don't like art school, then I just save 3 or 4 years. So I like that logic.
That's cool.
And for a 16-year-old kid.
It's pretty solid.
Oh.
Does she 16? How does it work in the Netherlands? Is she driving?
I mean, people always ask me like what kind of car I have. Mm-hmm. We have a 2007 Opel Vectra station wagon, beat up, old, terrible. I mean, my wife drives the car like 4 times a year.
Oh, wow.
And I drive it like maybe 10 times a year. We just don't drive. So in the Netherlands, it's not even, you don't even think about getting a driver's license. It doesn't even come up. You just bike and walk everywhere.
Really?
Yeah. So,
even like for flights? And you travel a lot. So,
I mean, the airport's 10 minutes from my house. I hop in an Uber. I'm there in 10 minutes. I jump on the plane.
That's cool.
That's cool.
So driving's not like a big thing for her?
No.
That's cool. Well, in the United States, it's a big thing. I mean, I'm sure you remember being 16 and getting your license and going.
14, dude.
What do you mean?
I grew up in Idaho, man.
Oh.
In Idaho, the driver's license was 14 years old.
Really?
Dude, yeah. I look back on that. I see kids. I mean, it's not that way anymore, but 14 years old.
14.
I can't believe that shit.
I thought you were making a joke. Like,
no, it was crazy, dude.
Lee. So you were driving at 14?
Oh, yeah.
Was it a big thing for you then?
Oh, of course, dude.
Yeah.
Hey, America's a driving country.
Yeah. You got to go. I mean, I imagine Idaho's, you got to go.
Yeah, but grow up in Boise. I mean, Boise was 80,000 at the time, and like you just rode bikes everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like literally you just bike. Like when you're a kid, you got your Huffy bike and you went crazy. And I remember reading Jake Plummer, who's a quarterback for the NFL and stuff like that. He was 3 years behind me in high school. And I remember reading an interview with him in Sports Illustrated talking to me. He's like, dude, when I was a kid, we just biked everywhere.
Right.
And just Boise was bikes. It was just crazy. It was cool.
So you said that I asked you a little bit about it, and I wanted to just touch on it on the podcast. Sure. So NFL, there was a time period there where you were going to play football. Mm-hmm. So like that's a lot of interesting things going on at one time. Like you moving. So you went to college in Portland, is that right?
Just south of Portland.
Just south of Portland.
Small NAI school.
And then, so earlier when you were telling your story, we went from Portland to New York. So somewhere in between there was some ideas of playing.
Oh, no,
there?
I played sports all growing up. I mean,
Okay.
I clearly have ADD. So
I think we're doing pretty good so far. We're all over the place a little
we're
bit.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. So
You're doing great.
I have ADD for sure. So I played sports all growing up, and I was always pretty good, but I was never great. And then for whatever reason, between my sophomore and junior year, just something clicked, and I became third-team All-American. I broke the school record for touchdowns. I had 8 touchdowns in a season or something like that.
What position did you play?
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then the next year, it just got even crazier. And then I had 18 touchdowns in a season. And I was first-team All-American. I was player of the year and stuff like
You're
that.
pretty tall.
Yeah, I was 6'2", you
Yeah.
know. And I'm a gamer. So, I just
Are you
happen.
fast?
That's the thing. That my coach at the time, I don't test very well.
Okay.
So in the game, I'm not like Jerry Rice, but Jerry Rice doesn't test very well, but in the game, he's fast.
Sure.
So in the game, I was just fast, because it was new back in the day. I used to watch a lot of tape. I was the only person on my team who watched tape. So I'd watch tape and I knew where everyone's going to be and stuff like that. So after the season, I got invited to all the combines. So I got invited to like 10 combines and stuff like that. My coach at the time, who ended up coaching at Boise State in Colorado, Dan Hawkins. So he was my coach, and he came from UC Davis, and he knew all the football players. He knew Bobby Beathard at San Diego, and he knew all the people at Chargers. And he's like, "You test like shit, but you can play. I know you can play in the NFL. So skip the combines, and I'll get you. I got you a tryout at San Diego, and I got you a tryout at the Chiefs." So I trained all winter, and I trained all spring, and then he came up it was like a week before I was going to go down to San Diego, and I was doing the tryout. And he's like, "I canceled it." I was like, "Why?" And he's like, "You just don't have the itch. You can play, but you don't have the itch." You have to remind, I had hair down to my neck. I smoked. My major in college was mythology and symbolism. I hung out with hippies and all these sorts of people. And he's like, "Dude, you can play, but you don't have the itch." And I was like, "That's cool." And as soon as I said that, he's like, "Exactly why I said it." Because he's like, if I told you that you can't do it and you wanted it so bad, you would have done it. And I was cool to leave it. Because, I'm glad I didn't. It just, even back in 1994, if I would have made the team, which sucks is fucking San Diego went to the Super Bowl that year.
Right.
So, but I think I could have made the team. But regardless right now, even the cornerbacks back then, I bulked up to 200 and I had like 3.5% body fat. So I was in good shape. And the guys I would have been going against like Atwater, and he was like 250 inches. He would have killed me.
Yeah.
And even if you're in the NFL, you're lucky to make 4 years. And even after 4 years, I've already had 9 concussions. So, how many concussions would I have had after that? So
yeah, was it really worth it? Yeah. It's kind of a hard gauge.
Right. So then I was going to become a professor. And then my friend was like, "Why don't you move to New York?" And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And that's when I moved to New York.
Do you follow sports now?
A little bit. I like F1.
Yeah.
I saw a documentary on Senna a few years ago. My wife turned me on to it, and she doesn't like sports, but she's like, "This is a cool documentary." So I watched that. I don't watch them with all the concussion stuff. I kind of lost interest in football.
Gotcha.
Just because, so many concussions. I remember I got hit so hard in the first quarter in a game, and in the fourth quarter, I looked at the trainer, and I'm like, "Where am I?"
Oh, wow.
He's like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And I scored 2 touchdowns. I had no clue. And, I was on concussion protocol even back then. But, yeah, so that freaks me out.
Yeah, but there's a certain level of dedication and like focus, and like you have to push yourself to even for somebody to even consider you to go to the league. You had to be you had to be a badass. Like you know what I mean?
But it carried over to rapping.
Well, and that's what I was getting at.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's kind of cool that you had a lot of that, because that's a it's like a mixture of all kinds of like crazy things that led into you being who you are today. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting.
And you can see it. And that's why it's kind of cool to do this podcast, because you can, it's clear in my head, but maybe not to people out there. So it's like, I think the successful people I know in this industry, like Jim Miller, he's a physical phenomenon. Like he's an amazing driver. He races motorcycles, really good shape, water skier, does crazy flips. I was just at his house a couple of days ago. He said he broke the record for flips on the water ski. I think he did 20 in like 30 seconds on it's crazy shit. And like John Duver's MMA, champion or whatever for, and it's just like
Chad Parrish is fit, dude. He's
super fit.
Yeah.
So I think you can take it to that next level if you just have that physical thing. So you do have to have some, because rapping's physical.
Sure.
But then if you can marry that with an intelligence of systems, that's where my mythology and symbolism comes in, where, I don't do a lot of competitions. The only competition I ever did was last year. I fucking lost to John by 7 seconds. But but I have that competition. I like it. But it's just for me, I'm more of a cerebral type of person where I like systems and volume and speed. So I still like the speed and I get it. And that's what I'm doing with the Ford Wrap program. I'm really excited about the Ford Wrap program. I mean, it's really,
I mean,
I think what we created is special.
there's been other ones in the past, right?
Dude, people have tried. It's like,
I mean, it's a big undertaking. Like I mean, when you talk about Ford, I mean, they're one of the biggest companies in the world,
for sure.
and to think that, like, I don't know. It's weird when you start thinking about it because it would become so mainstream.
It's close. I mean, that's the whole Amazon bet that I made in 1995 when I picked, or 1996 when I picked up a squeegee. It was like, I've always felt this industry would get to the point of high volume where companies like Ford and Toyota and Mercedes were, wrapping the cars. So, I mean, that's the volume and the play that's at hand right now. And it's super, super exciting. I can taste it.
Yeah. And it's close.
I mean, but, it's that movie, Dune, and there's that kind of, remember he was, the main character was getting tested one time, and he's like, how many people have passed, they basically, they tried and died, how many programs have tried to scale? Wrapify failed. Original Wraps failed. Even there are a couple of companies try to do, OEM programs, failed. Toyota tried it, so people have tried and just haven't made it. Do I think Ford is the closest it's ever come? 100%.
Why do you think that is?
Because Tiago and XIX, and I also think it's right timing. Frank died, was really close. COVID I think if COVID hadn't come, Frank would have busted out Speedy Wraps. I mean,
think so?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was legit. I literally was there and I was getting everything opening, was ready to open, and COVID just killed it. But done. So, everything happens for a reason. But yeah, Ford is, dude, I'm standing at SEMA announcing the Ford Wrap program.
I know, it was wild to see it. Dude, when we got there, I was scratching my head. I was like, what is he doing? What is going on?
To stand in the West Hall and
in the entrance, in the entrance. Like as soon as you walk in, the first thing you see is the Wrap Institute and Ford.
Well, it's not the Wrap Institute. I mean, this is legit. I mean, I'm happy to be partners with XX, but this would not happen without XX and Tiago. So it was XX and Tiago, and we're the training. And it was nice to have Mike and Erica and Jim busting that car out, and then to create this training program. The training program is legit, like it's super legit. I mean, the few wrap shops I've seen it, I think the program's going to be big. And ideally, Ford's goal is to wrap 120,000 cars a year. It's a lot.
Ford's goal.
Yeah. In 2026, their aim is to wrap 120,000 cars a year. It's a lot. So my goal is, or my job is to help XIX create a program that can happen.
How does it work?
Well,
if somebody wants a wrap, right? They see a commercial.
Yeah.
They get on, it's all done on their phone.
Yeah, 100%.
So you pull it up, you go through it.
Choose a color, click the matte black, and then you pops up and you see this, what's put in your zip code, and then top shops in your area pop up who are part of the program. You have to be part of Xeno certified. And then they just see the rankings of the customer, and then they see the availability. So you're not competing on price. The price is the same. You're competing on service, which is how it should be, and you're competing on reliability. How
do they gauge the service?
It's all Uber Eats.
Oh, same setup.
So there's a whole AI program on the back end. Is how quickly do you answer your emails? How quickly do you fill out the things? What are your customer reviews? Do you do Justin's protocol, Wrap Institute's protocol? Do you do all those things? Then it gives you a score. Do you have a 4.7? Do you have a 4.2? If you have 4.7, you don't go up in the ranking.
Got it.
Super smart.
Yeah.
Polices itself. It's genius.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, and it's pretty, that sounds sick. It sounds like.
They have to. And Jim, I was just at Jim's shop and I filmed the 250 there. And Jim's like, I'm like, okay, you have to understand what I have to do. I have to create a way to wrap a car that people like Jim and people like yourself will see it and say, okay, I'm going to wrap it this way too. And I'm also saying it's going to hold up this way, and this is the most efficient way to do it, but it's also going to create the highest quality and durability. So I have to find a sweet spot that makes everyone happy. And Jim was like, well, what if I want to wrap it like this? I said, you don't. You wrap it like this. And he's like, well, what if I want to? And I said, well, is a Ford in California different than a Ford in Florida? He's like, no. And I'm like, well, the wrap in California and Ford wrap in Florida have to look exactly the same. You have to wrap it this way. Not because I'm great, because this is how it has to be. Someone can't in Florida say, well, this guy did my door jam and this guy did wrap it like this. It has to be exactly the same.
How do you monitor that?
AI.
Oh.
When you're done, you take a picture of each section and it goes in and says, did you wrap this edge? Did you wrap this edge? Did you not this wrap? No. It's done. It's cool.
Got it.
It's awesome.
Accountability on a big scale.
Dude, it has to be.
Yeah.
But if you do the program, you get paid extremely well. I don't think people understand how well they're going to get paid. Dude, the wrap shops don't have to do invoicing. They don't have to pay for the material. The car shows up. They don't deal with any clients. I tell you exactly what to take off. I tell you the measurements on the car. I give you all the templates. How much time does that wrap shop save? The only thing they do is wrap. Car comes in, car goes out. Car goes in, car goes out.
So it was a little, as you were talking there, you mentioned that you talking about like your techniques and like, not that you're the best in the world or anything, but like, hey, look, we just want to keep it uniform, do it all the same. One of your newest things is like zero stretch, right? And that's and the wrap matrix. And I do want to talk about it some.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I'm not gonna lie, it took me a minute to understand, right?
A lot of people are still not. They don't get it.
Well, and take this for what it's worth, right? The zero stretch portion of it makes total sense.
100%.
The matrix portion of it does get a little muddy. It's a little hard to get your head wrapped around. And I think that you've done a really good job at demonstrating it, because when I watch you do it,
Yeah, but on video it's fucking hard.
dude, I think you've killed it. I mean, because you can see it.
It's
happening.
getting there.
Yeah.
On the videos, but it's still the
So
zero stretch.
where'd it come from? Let's talk about it a little bit.
Well, basically, it came from when I first met Reiner. He was making videos, and then he said he made a video, and he's like, "Well, I'm not doing triangles. I'm creating carpet." And I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
A carpet.
Yeah, so I'm creating these things, and I pull out like carpet. I was like, "Dude, I don't lay carpet, so I don't get that analogy." Sure. So I didn't really get it.
It doesn't surprise me that he lays carpet. That sounds fitting.
He does everything. So anyway, so he had that, and kind of, and it's almost like why we call it the Matrix is kind of, you always sense the Matrix there, like in the movie. Like people in the thing, you sense the Matrix there, but they don't quite see it. So you kind of see little things that hint at it, but so I was seeing what we call pyramids now, or stuff like that. But I saw them for years, but I just didn't see them as pyramids. So Reiner and I were playing around with film, and again, I should have put this together years ago. But basically, we all know the calendar film shrinks because you can see the white trim on the border, right? So calendar film, because of the process, starts off as solid and it's stretched out into a sheet, naturally shrinks because it's PVC. Cast film, we were always told, because it starts off a liquid, that's why I use cast film on cars, because there's no tension built into the film. It comes with zero tension, you work out. So then Reiner and I were playing with the film, and we flipped it over one day on a cast film, and we realized cast film actually shrinks too. So that was just like, that was the red pill. We went into the Matrix, because what we realized then is every brand, whether it's Avery, 3M, or Orville, shrinks.
Right. And that's a little bit different between each one.
Yeah, but it comes from the manufacturing process.
Sure.
So, and I've been to Avery, and I've been, to Arlon, I've been to the manufacturers, and how they make it is these long machines. And when they put that in there, it naturally just stretches a little bit.
Sure.
And also depends on the plasticizer. So like Avery shrinks a little bit. 3M shrinks a lot.
Yeah.
Orville shrinks a fair amount.
Yeah.
Calendar film shrinks a lot.
Yeah.
So that is tension. So what we're doing is we're recalibrating the film, then we wrap the car. So we take it back to zero, then we stretch it. So on mirrors and door handles, so that's what Reiner and I saw. But then once we realized that, I pulled differently on the mirror. And as soon as I pulled differently, instead of doing triangles, I pulled straight one time, and I saw these lines. And I was like, those are not triangles, those are pyramids. Because then I was stretching, I still do everything I did before with triangles. I still pull to the corners like I'm making a bed. But instead of spreading the material out, I pull to the corner, which creates these very sharp wrinkles. Those sharp wrinkles are pyramids. And then I simply pick the material and I wrap it around, and then I heat it. So it's a different process, but it makes wrapping 80%. I just did a workshop at advanced class at Jim's, and 10 of the people, all in the Wrap Institute. John was there, and I've been talking about zero stretch with John for 2 years now. And then I finally, after 2 days, everyone was just like, we get it now, right? And it's just a different process. If you're taking,
yeah, I'd heard you say it one time that, and you got a good way of wording things, by the way. Like you people really need to pay attention to when you talk. Like they don't need to just hear it. They really need to listen to the words that you're using. Because
feel it.
I'm telling, like you said this thing one time about how, and you may have asked it in a question, like in a question form, it's something to the effect of like, could this mean that calendared film is it better? Could be better. And when you said it, I was scratching my head like, what? He means something by this. What? And I don't know if you remember saying it.
I do, for sure. I say it all the time.
So when you say that, what do you mean?
Well, I mean that, again, if you don't know about zero stretch, calendar film has more tension in it. It shrinks, and cast film has less tension in it. And that's why people think cast film is better for cars and more flexible film.
So you think that shrink element is a good thing? It's positive.
If you know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, why? I mean, out of all the brands, right? And we, the Wrap Institute is agnostic. So I think Ryan and I, and even everyone at the Wrap Institute believes that every film is good, right? As long as you really understand what it can do, what it can't do, the properties. If you appreciate those differences, you can work with any film, right? So you have to adapt either in technique or let's say using a little triple S because it's aggressive. Whatever you adapt to, you can make those films all pretty equal. But the idea is right now, like, why do people like to work with Avery? Right?
Initial low tack. That's
and flexible at room temperature.
Yeah.
I mean, Avery's literally is the softest film out there. So
cold stretches like that. Yeah.
I mean, we did years ago at in ASEMA, 2014. We're in the Muto booth, right? And we're wrapping Frank's Audi R8, and it was 5 great installers in there. And what we did is we wrapped his car 4 times a day with 4 different brands. And Avery was 25 minutes, same car, same design, same everything. The next brand was 38 minutes. The next brand was 48 minutes. And the next brand was 52 minutes.
Same installers?
Same installers, same temperature, same everything, same car. Nothing changed except for what?
Film.
The film. So the companies that were 48 and 52 minutes said, dude, stop showing our film.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just between 2 films the rest of the week. And every time Avery was 25 minutes and every time that other brand was 38. So Avery's the fastest film to put on because it's flexible and it's soft and it's cast. But the thing is now, if you know zero stretch, okay, my big thing with zero stretch is the more the film shrinks, the less I have to work. So that's where calendar film comes into play, where if you harness the shrink of calendar film and you put it in the right spot and you heat it, that's it. So you can kind of turn calendar film into like Avery cast. So if you wrap Avery cast with triangles, great. But if you want to really true zero stretch, the more the material shrinks, the better.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's really...
That's why we call it the Matrix, because it's fucked up.
It is.
It flips everything on its head.
Everything.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm telling you, when people get it, it's just like...
We just did a competition. We did a competition with Alltac, and it's all calendared film. And we're wrapping a full car, and in the back of my head, I just kept saying, like, he said it could be better.
Well,
he said it could be better. He said it could. Use these techniques and try it and see.
To be shocked what you can do with Alltac.
Dude, it was crazy.
If you don't use it, Alltac sucks.
Right.
If you zero stretch, Alltac is great.
It's fantastic.
Except for when you try to take it off.
Yeah, we actually
it's not as bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Well, we found that because we did the camo car, and so like the camo patterns, trying to remove it from the graphic to graphic, the adhesion was fantastic. Mm-hmm. From the base layer to the composite body wasn't bad. So
not bad.
Yeah, it came off pretty clean.
Well, if it's been on for a couple of years, though, that's the problem. It's just a water-based adhesive, so that's going to leave more adhesive than not. Sure. So.
But it was interesting to see, watch that film actually wrap and watch it, perform. Like, if you would have told me that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would have laughed in your face. I would have said, "You're crazy. There's no way." Even when you said it, that calendar could be better. In my back of my head, I'm like, "Well, he's lost it. Well, he's gone. He lost his fucking mind."
Well, I mean, I maybe I've already been out of my mind, but I mean, my point is that, but that's what I love about the Wrap Institute and what it's been able to give me, and not only as a trainer, but as a platform, is that we have the honor to work with all these companies, and it was hard because I was an Avery trainer.
I was going to say, how do you manage that, man? Like that's huge.
Well, I mean, okay, give Avery credit. Avery's an awesome company to work with, mainly because back in 2010, I chose Avery over, a couple other companies. Just I had the option and I chose Avery, and mainly because at the time, Paul Robo was the head of tech, but I was like, okay, I've seen other programs and they teach old techniques, and this industry is changing really quick. So I want to create a program. If you're going to make me head trainer, I'm going to change the techniques anytime I want. I'm going to change the tools anytime I want. And I'm going to be pretty honest and just say it open. He's like, cool, do whatever you want. I mean, so for a Fortune 500 company to give me that freedom, and they still do, which is cool, which is, great for them because they believe in their product so much. So I can teach a lot of stuff in them, and I can pretty much say what I want. I do say it. I cuss a lot in the workshop. So, but my point is, it's really nice that they allow me to do that, right? So when I started the Wrap Institute, I said, I'm going to start this video streaming service, but I'm going to be 100% neutral, and I'm going to work with other companies. And everybody was like, cool, that's totally fine. It was, amazing for them.
So it's never been a conflict of interest?
Never. Well, because, Abby, who's really, Abby Monnet, she's really grown up in the company. Like when she came on board, I almost quit for Avery, and it's a long story for that, but I stayed. And this guy who came on, Bill Podagel, said, give me a year with Avery. I'm going to hire the right people. And if I hire the right people and you like being here, stay with Avery. I'm like, okay, cool. And he hired Abby, and Abby's great. And he hired a couple other people who were awesome. And she's grown in the company, so she's really high up now. She's cool. And she just said, look, you're going to work with other people and other brands with the Wrap Institute. But if you're doing training for us, that says that you love our product still. So she believes in the product, and that's unique. And I give her a lot of credit for that. So
yeah, because that can't be an easy.
Well, dude, I can guarantee you the company that you work for would not let me do that.
It's
Well, that was one of my choices too.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, it had to have been, right? I mean,
well, it was pretty clear in 2010 what I would have to do with certain companies and what Avery allowed me to do, and they gave me full keys to the castle. Who wouldn't take that?
Sure.
So, but my point is, in 2014, I started the Wrap Institute. I said this is going to be 100% neutral, and I'm working with every brand. But it took until ISA believed in us in 2019 when we did the Never Stop Learning contest for the first time. That companies like Oracle and Arlon, all those companies were like, if ISA is betting on the Wrap Institute, we'll work with the Wrap Institute too. And then it was just this explosion. So ISA gave us the credibility of neutrality, even though I had it in 2014. It didn't. It took ISA to let the other companies know that we are legit, and that really opened it up.
And I think it's really cool too that you, with the tool side of things, right? Like, so they were. Of course, they would be cool with your techniques and your style and everything, right? Like that makes sense for them. But then, like for you for them to give you that openness to kind of, because you're pretty open when it comes to tools. I mean, you're kind of all over the place. You're not, I think you do a lot with Michael at Yellow Tool, but it's not just his tools that you're using. I mean, now you've got your own line of tools, right? I mean,
yeah.
And
that's, and it's been interesting to do that. When I started Wrap in 2014. I had this idea we're going to have like 7 different revenue streams. And one of them is that we're going to sell tools, and I remember literally Frank and I are in the kitchen at Car Up City. And I said, okay, with the Wrap Institute.
You say Frank?
Fellers.
Fellers.
Yeah. Sorry.
I'm just making sure. I just keeping up.
I was with this dude named Frank.
Yeah. Just dropping Frank. I'm trying to
just talking to Frank.
You're painting this picture. So you and him are just hanging out and you're just running business ideas by him.
No, he came down because when I met Frank in 2013. And he came to SEMA and we had dinner. That's why. I was shocked that that's the only reason he came to SEMA. And he just said, I've been watching you for a long time. I think you're ready. I'd like to do business with you. What do you want to do together? And I said, well, I'm going to start this company called the Wrap Institute. It's going to be a neutral platform and I'm going to make learning videos. And he's like,
okay.
He's like, cool, I'll support you. So he came down and we're going to make some videos on wrapping. And I said, well, he's like, what are you going to do with the Wrap Institute? I said, it's going to be paid video services. And we're going to do this. And I'm going to sell tools. He's like, fuck, you're going to sell tools. I'm going to pay you to make videos about tools. I'm like, oh, okay.
So I'm not selling tools right now.
Well, no, but he's like, but he's right though. He's like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a teacher and I'm a trainer and I'm an installer, but I'm not a person who stocks stuff and sells tools. So he said, look, I'll pay you to make a video about NT Cutter or Avery magnets or an application glove, and you make the video and that'll support me and I'll pay you money for that. So
do you still do that today?
What?
Videos promoting different types of tools. Like, is that still part of your business model?
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we make videos for every manufacturer. We just made videos for LX Houses, and we just made a video for Arlon, and we just made a video for, every manufacturer you can name.
But even so in that scenario though, you were, the distributor was paying you to make make videos for products. Is that still are you still working with distributors?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
That's one of our business models. So basically the Wrap Institute is basically a production studio.
Okay.
So people pay us to make the videos about the products, which we're super happy to make. So that's what we did for years. So I never even paid attention to selling tools. And so then about a year and a half ago, Jeff from the Rag Company approached me. He's like, do you want to have your own tool line? Because we're doing stuff on Amazon. It's cool. And I think there's a detailing market wants to know about tools. And it's super confusing for these guys. They don't know what tool to go with. So I was like, okay, do we come out with our tool line? And so we as a company were like, all right, we're going to work with companies that we already like, Yellow Tools and Tadashi and stuff like that. And we're going to create a collection of what we think is the best tools to wrap, PPF, color change, commercial. And it's basically we want to create like a high quality tool line that people could just trust and be sold on Amazon, but it could also be sold elsewhere. So we made special tools and stuff like that. And we made videos for it and we tried it out, see how it works and stuff like that. And I'm really proud of the line because I think it's legit. But it's not our wheelhouse. You know what I'm saying? I think it's interesting to see where it goes, but at the same time, it's just nice to say, people are like, what squeegee do I use? I said, just use the platinum squeegee. Or what should I use for aftercare? Just try Triple S, and Triple S does this. We try to create tools that work on 3 or 4 different ways. So instead of having 30 tools, you can have 10, right?
Gotcha.
And we also want to just have high
Triple
quality.
S on the detail truck. I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just kind of exciting to see. You know what I'm talking about? How they have like the detail trucks that go around the different shops. They'll come by every once in a while and they'll have a degreaser or something. And it's like, There's Triple S sitting up on the show. It's pretty cool.
You know, my biggest regret about Triple S so far is just not having time, because I think, you know, this year has been a very interesting year. We pivoted our company where, starting last August, we decided to invest heavily in a new site, which launches next week, which I'm excited about. Ford came up, right? And the Platinum tool line all started in the same year. So it's been a heavy year, not a bad year, but just busy. So Triple S has kind of got, I think the Triple S is amazing. If people really understand how that product works, and again, I worked with the guys from P&S about it, and Bob and Dave are awesome, particularly Dave because he's the chemist. But it's like, I use Triple S for everything now. Like frosted windows, Triple S, and then alcohol on the outside. Now frosted windows, your install time. Like Charlie Trio, he was doing an install with frosted film because they do a ton of frosted film. And he said, dude, my guys were taking 8 minutes to do these windows. We switched to Triple S and got them down to 3.
Using it as a slip solution?
Not liquid. They would put it on the window, let it dry, clean the outside with alcohol, and they were just picking up off the window and squeeging. He was like, dude, it was crazy because they were doing
with frost.
They were doing them dry. So instead of waiting for them to get wet and doing all the stuff, he's like, dude, we're doing them dry, but the Triple S made it feel like it was doing wet.
Yeah, I've got a friend, Chris Mears from Harbor Wraps in Cincinnati. Yep. Super cool guy, great installer. We just worked on a job with him, and he swears by it. We met him at WrapsCon a few years ago, and he's just become a good friend. And but we, you know, he asked us about the product or whatever, and we told him, hey, look, it's great for, you know, especially tack reducer. Like that's the easiest way to,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like if any, there's a lot of films out there that initial tack is pretty aggressive, right? So I mean, it's an easy sell. It's an easy, you know, hey, put this on, reduce the tack, boom, good to go. But we just did a job with him in Ohio for Walmart, and he came in. We had a back of a one of the transits.
Okay,
it was on the transporting trailer,
sure, and
it was backwards, so the whole back was just covered in bugs, top to bottom covered in bugs. And so we're scraping it and cleaning. It's a miserable process. And he was like. It reminded me, I don't know if you've ever seen this or not, but like there's an old movie, but it's like a Greek movie where they talk about like old Greek people like spraying Windex like on everything. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, so the first thing he said, he was like, well, have you tried Triple S? And I was like, no, why the hell would we try Triple S? He went and got it, sprayed it on, bugs came right off.
Wow.
And I'm standing there, I'm scratching my head. I'm like, oh my God, you've turned into like the old Greek, you know, grandmother that's like, you know, just get the Triple S and put it on everything. So,
but dude, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, it's like,
and he uses it on Windows as well. That was what, you know.
Yeah. Window perf. Like people get the wet. So, you know, so if you do window perf next time, spray it with Triple S, clean the outside with alcohol, and you're going to be like, even on back windows, it's pretty dope. So, but I guess my point is, I feel like I haven't done a good enough job of saying what Triple S is for. Some people see it as this, but they don't understand it's for this. And like, I mean, as an aftercare, it's insane because it goes on the wrap, which is cool, but then I put it on the window. Then I put it on the interior. I put it on everything. And it's like I put it on my computer screen. I put it on my eyeglasses and stuff like that. I mean, it's legit product. I'm saying
like Frank, she put that shit on everything. It's a cool product. And I think it fits well too with Zero Stretch and
100%.
You know what I mean? Like I think there's a lot of that.
Well, I mean, to the point, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's like what I like about Triple S, right, is that with Zero Stretch is the great equalizer where I can take a film like All-Tac, which if you don't know about it, it's going to be tricky.
Sure.
Or I can take a film that's aggressive, or I can take a film like even with Avery, I still will use it. I won't use it much, or even like SLX Plus, super low tack. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit those body lines, and then I don't get sanding.
Sure.
So I don't need it necessarily to reduce the tack on those films, but I get that quality because Avery does sand.
Sure. Well, that's soft adhesive, right? As soon as you drag it across the body line, you're gonna get it every time.
So I don't like. Sometimes I just use a little spread. Sometimes I use it a lot. You know, but that's for just the prep. But even on my squeegee now, I put it on my squeegee so it slides super quick. And then it's that aftercare. I'm telling you, it's like even like at my home, like before I came out here, I cleaned my windows with Absolute on the outside windows of my house. Then I put Triple S, and that shit doesn't get dirty for months now. If I use Windex, it would be dirty within a week. And you know, so that's what I like. What's happening right now in the industry is the great crossover. You know, detailing products are coming into the industry, PPF, window tint, everything's crossing over, and it's becoming this beautiful mix, you know? And even what you guys are doing with your tools, you're using 3D printers and doing things that you wouldn't be able to do 2 years ago.
Sure.
I think it's cool. Even the person who, you know, the 10 millimeter socket of the industry right now is the fucking NT cutter thing always falls out. And, you know, people are doing 3D printers of that. I mean,
Chad, I can't think of Chad's last name, but he's from 360. He just sent us he sent us the files over for it. Super cool.
Super cool. Why not?
Like, how awesome is that?
My favorite, who was it? Frank Oliver down in California or down in Florida said that years ago. It was my favorite Facebook post in a while. He's like, this is the 10 millimeter socket of the industry.
Of the industry.
That's always the first thing you lose.
Well, you know, it's that knife it's hard to beat, man. Dude,
I could tell you a funny story about that, actually.
really.
Well, I mean,
I'd love to hear it
so check this out. So,
because it's like $7 on Amazon. It's like
which is stupid as hell, dude.
it's crazy.
I don't know.
As universal as that knife is, I mean, you put a tucker on the back of it, you forget about it. It's the best knife.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. It is the best, dude. I mean, it checks so many boxes. Man.
It does, dude. It's legit.
It's
And if you put a WrapOn on there, maybe you guys should come on.
Lambert.
Got it.
I got it.
So anyway, so
NT.
I got handed the NT cutter knife back in '97. Charlie, I forgot his name. Some guy Charlie in Yonkers handed me this knife. Cool guy, and it was great. His original knife was great for years and years and years, but it was a 5 cartridge blade, and I only held the 58-degree blade, and that's all I used up until before I moved to Europe. I never even saw a 30-degree blade.
We come from Exactos. And the reason we used Exactos was because most people that cut from their elbow or cut from their wrist, right? So they when they got it's all about body position. So they have to rotate, get their body right, and drag to So it's one or the other. You're going to cut with one or the other.
Okay.
Interesting thing about an Exacto is that you've got a little bit of you've got your fingertips, so you've got a little bit of play with.
Interesting.
Right. So now when you get into like fine detail, like especially like PPF, whenever you're really trying to dial in a corner and get some precision cuts in, having that ability to be able to roll your fingers just a little bit to get that cut dialed in
like that.
makes
That's
huge
cool.
makes huge difference.
I never thought about that.
Well, the NT cutter has a little bit of that, right? Because it's not completely round, but it has just enough round to where you can get a good grip on it and you can kind of twist it. So it was the first knife that I really felt comfortable using outside of the Exacto knife.
And I like the fact that it's a little thick on the tip.
Oh man, it yes, it is.
No, but I mean,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. You were telling a story.
thick on the tip. Sorry, I wasn't going there. I know where your mind is thinking.
Sorry.
We're going to cross swords later, man.
Yeah.
So basically, I don't even know where to go back to that.
So you were in Yonkers, guy hands you a gray knife, and you're checking it out.
What was the first time he handed me a knife and said it holds 5 blades?
Yeah.
It's cool. So I was like,
So
great.
that was the big thing for you in the moment. It was like, this is
Well, I mean, again, I'm about time and money. So it's just about, as an installer, is like, I fucking hate single cartridge knives because I'm lazy. So when I get down to that last click and I know that I should get off the scaffold and go get my blades or whatever, this is before tool belts,
sure.
I would just keep on using that dual blade and get shit cuts. And so now that kept me honest, where I just always had a fresh blade. So I was always clicking. So it was gray for years, right? And I do my first DVD and I use the gray blade and stuff like that. But then I got big enough name, or I think it was like 2010 or 11, I got in touch with the NT Cutter in America, and Yumi and those guys are great, or gal. And so she's great. And the whole team there is awesome. So I started getting knives for the workshop. So I'd give the students a NT Cutter knife and be like, this is great. And they would sponsor it, which was good for them. So finally I had enough clout with them where I was just like, I'm working in garages. And what color is the garage floor for most of the part?
Yeah, gray.
Gray.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd set my knife on the ground and I'd be like, where the fuck is my knife? Right.
Sure.
So I couldn't find my knife. So finally I was just like, I was in Japan, 2011, and I went to this cool store called Tokyo Hands, 8-story hardware store.
Okay.
8 stories. One whole floor, literally a third of it is knives. It's beautiful, dude. You can buy Dynog there. You can buy a roll of Dynog and walk around on your shoulder because interior wrapping film is huge in Japan.
Okay.
So they had the selection of knives that you've never seen. And I went and saw the NT Cutter knife, gray, pink, blue, yellow, white, all these different colors. I call them up. I was like, you have different colors? And they're like, yeah, we have different colors. I say, I want yellow. And they're like, sure. So then all of a sudden they stopped selling gray in America and they sold yellow.
Yeah.
So I'm the one who asked them to turn it yellow. Right.
Way. That's cool.
But then when I moved to Europe, they started using 30-degree blades, right? So I got used to using a 30-degree blade. But the problem is the inside cartridge of the NT Cutter knife only fit a 58-degree blade. So I used to modify it on my own to make it fit 30. So finally, I was like in 2012 or 13, I was like, change it because the 30-degree blades are better. And Olfa in America, for whatever reason, is super expensive. Like a 10-pack of Olfa blades is double the price of NT Cutter.
Yep.
But I think they're both the same quality. So I said,
quality of blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the quality of NT Cutter and Olfa are the same.
Very close.
But Olfa's double the price. So I just said, look, if you change the knife somehow to fit a 30-degree blade, you're going to sell a lot of knives and blades in America. So I didn't even know that they did it. So I'm teaching in Osaka, right? And I'm teaching Osaka and I'm teaching the workshop.
Not an easy process, by the way.
What?
To change a design. Like once you have a mold
Dude,
made.
it was so simple, dude. It was crazy.
What do you mean?
They just changed the back inside the cartridge, right? the metal back end was a 58 degree, the same as the front. So all they did was modify it a 30-degree angle so that the 30-degree fit at the back. It was like the tiniest fucking thing. They just cut it out of the mold. It was just the easiest tweak.
You said, man, I'm telling you, like, have you been through the injection? Well, I'm sure you have. You've seen, it is a miserable, like, to make the smallest adjustment, it is so tedious and so hard.
I say that as
like,
right.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you say that stuff's easy because Josh, there's no doubt in my mind he's rolling his eyes as hard as he can right now, because anytime I would say, hey, we just need to just take and change this, and he would say, that's 50 hours work.
I said, Michael from Yellow Tool System.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's easier said than done.
Yeah.
And I do that. A lot of my people in my company don't like me because I say tools. I was like, this is change this. And okay. So I'm teaching the workshop, and there's like, 10, 15 people in this workshop, and all of a sudden the door opens and 5 people in suits come in, like full 3-piece suits. I'm like, what the fuck? Am I getting arrested or something like that? And they have these boxes, and they come up and they say, Anticata, Justin Pate. And there was like 2 big boxes filled with 200 blades each. And on the knives, it said Anticutter Justin Pate, Anticutter plus Justin Pate. And it had all these things, all printed up, and they had changed the inside to 30 degrees. And they gave me 400 knives with my name on it. And it was the president of Anticutter who fucking bowed and gave me the boxes. And I was like, what the fuck? It was cool. It was amazing. And I gave them all away. I don't even have a single one today.
Don't even have one.
I did. That's how stupid I am and stuff. But that's the story of NT Cutter. So now the NT Cutter has a 30-degree blade, and they're yellow. And that was my influence.
And it's like the standard now, like the yellow.
Every video you see on Instagram is people. But that makes me super happy because it's good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they should charge more for that knife. I don't know how they get away with that. It's so cheap.
It blows my mind every time I mean, you almost have to use it. I mean,
well, you have to, but I don't know how they're making money on it.
I don't either.
But I mean, that's not my business.
No, but it's still cool to see it. It's interesting how that works. Tools being brought to market like that, and I mean that one is a staple. I think now. I think it's almost.
It's the staple.
Yeah. Knife. I mean, it's the go-to knife for.
But I mean, think about. I mean, what's changed in the industry, and I don't know about how you guys feel. I mean, I'm curious about this. It's like it's interesting. Michael and I think what those guys are doing at Yellow Tools is really innovative. They think about the products like. The squeegee that we use for the platinum squeegee, that shape Wrap Dragon is genius, and a lot of stuff he comes up with. But as soon as he comes to the tool, Focio and all those companies just copy it instantly, and it's just got to be really, I don't know, it's got to be hard.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it is, and it's intimidating. So, I talked about this a little bit on the last podcast, but it's one of those things where it's like there's some passion, there's a little bit of ego, there's a lot of some of it makes sense on paper, but when you have a good idea and you've got somebody that believes in you just a little bit, you know what I mean? And then the next thing you know, it's like, it turns into like this little baby. Right. And then, so I got to a place with it where it was like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if they knock it off.
You can't do anything about it.
In the process, we had 2 other products that got knocked off, and it hurt. It was
for sure.
Yeah, it knocked the wind out of both of us pretty good. And it was just it was I don't know. It was one of those things where it was like, what do you do? Do you go after them? Do you It
depends. I mean, truth be told, I mean, someone 2017 like copied our website word for word, picture for picture, and started their own website. And we went after them with lawyers, and we put that out, and we should have been harder because But yeah, I mean, there's sometimes you have to fight and sometimes you don't. But I think I don't know how you do it with tools.
Yeah, different countries, that brings in another element. Just because we have a patent in the United States doesn't mean that patent's good in Germany or 100%. Japan, whatever. But I just told the story, but I'll tell it again because you told me that you don't watch podcasts, so assuming that you probably missed it, it's fine. But no, when we were at the show, when we were at ISA, Michael came over.
Okay.
Stopped at the booth, looked, turned around, and walked away. Oh, he might have said hello. And then he came back by, and I happened to be standing out front, and he said, "Good job." And I was like, "Hey, man, I really wanted to," and you did a good job. It's good. And I was like, "Thank you, man. It means a lot. I didn't know how this conversation was going to go, if it was going to be weird." Blah, blah, blah. And he said, "Come with me." So we walk over to his booth, and we're standing out there, and we're looking at it. And I was like, "Man, I really, this thing means a lot to me, and like I'm really trying to explain to you." And he was like, Scott, look up there. I got 300 SKUs right here. I'm not going to knock off your tool. I don't need to. Like, right. I appreciate him talking to me. He's like, I appreciate the fact that you're passionate about it and that you're sincere and you guys did a really good job. Like, you should be proud. You should feel good. And dude, that shit meant so fucking meant because there was some times like we had came out with this tool and they ended up coming out with it before we did. Sure. And just some of that, it happens, right? Like
it happens. I mean, you always have to think everything you're doing, someone's doing too.
You have to assume it, but it's tough, especially when you put your blood, sweat, and tears into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we're, well, think about it. It's happened to you, so you know, but like, it's all in timing is super important too, because if you would have went out and spent $50,000 on a DVD, and then in that process before it comes to market, somebody else drops a DVD, it takes the wind out of your sails a little bit, and the cost. Go ahead.
I think it would have, but I think you get older and you don't worry about this stuff anymore.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I understand. What can you do though?
It's tough. Well, all we knew to do was just to keep on digging.
Well, that's 100%. That's a good lesson. So then you realize, okay, what did we do to get slow to market? How do we change and stuff like that? And it wasn't your time. And there's another idea. I mean, I don't think I've ever told anyone in the wrap industry this. Back in the day, this is, because I'm always trying to come up with ideas. Like I came up with the name monkey strips, banana buffers. That's all mine and stuff like that. So I came up with those names. So I'm good with names and ideas and stuff like that. I remember.
Where did that come from? I don't even understand it. I think it's great branding and marketing. Yeah, like.
Oh, well, I mean, the guy who makes monkey strips, this guy, Mark, coolest guy in the world. I mean, fucking love that guy. He's really, he's son of a sign maker, had been in the industry for a long time, great installer, under the radar, just knows all the angles, really good guy in the industry in the Netherlands. Everyone likes him, but totally under the radar, and he keeps it that way. But he's been making monkey strips he's been making strips now, like since 2006, 5, and so when I was a freelance installer, I worked with him a lot, and he took care of me when I needed work and stuff like that. So he changed his name to Wrap Monkey. So like his name is Mark Bockwell, but his company was Flexmark. So he started his buffers were called Fleximark or Flexi-Felts. And I was like, and then he changed his name just as a joke. He's like, I'm the Wrap Monkey, So I was like, well, dude, you should call those the monkey strips.
Monkey strips.
And he's like, good idea. So he came up with a weird logo with a monkey looked stoned and shit like that. And then so we had that logo for a while and it became monkey strips. And then Mike Zick gave me the idea for monkey tails. So monkey tails, and I came up with the box. Then I came up with the name Corner Game. And then Jemus was like, I got a buffer. And I said, well, instead of being competition, why don't we partner and we'll come up with some kind of deal. And he's like, I want to call it something, something. I said, no, the banana buffer. And he's like, cool, man. So then
is that kind of like a spin off the monkey or what is it, the shape?
Yeah, kind of. I wanted to keep the same idea. So they're not owned. Like Jemus has banana buffers and Mark has the monkey strips. I'm part owner in both, but the idea is that I thought it was in the same family, banana, monkey, whatever. Sure. Just kind of keep it. Why not? And it's just kind of. I mean, plus Jemus is from Brazil, bananas, monkeys. I'm not joking.
I was always curious where that came from because it is. It's kind of like Apple, right? Like it's fantastic after the fact.
Sure.
But like going in, bringing products to market, you can't just call it bottle. You can't just call it pink. You can't just make up. I mean, you can, but it's tough because then your customer you got to get your customer to breach that gap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Knife Tucker was really simple. If you're in the wrap industry, you can put it together pretty quick what it is. You don't even really have to see it or think about it. And I like that because it was cut and dry.
But you have to think marketing.
Sure. On the back end, it is kind of dry and it is kind of bland, which is fine.
Which can be good. Yeah. I have a new tool coming out. I can't say what it is. But it's coming out very soon. Cool. And it's, I can't say with who, but the person who has the name, I mean, it's going to be a boring as shit name.
Yeah.
But, knifeless.
Sure. There you go.
Knifeless.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But let's go back to my story. I was in New York City in 1996 or 97, and I had this idea for a mistletoe belt buckle.
Mistletoe belt buckle. Okay. Got it. It took me a second, but I got it.
Yeah. Yep. So, I mean, I was like, dude, I'm going to make fucking millions of dollars off this mistletoe. Because the reason I got the idea is actually in college, this is a weird story, but I'm always thinking about marketing and hooks and names. A kid in college, his parents were millionaires. And I'm like, and he's a rich kid or whatever, and I grew up poor as hell. So, I mean, I was always kind of interested about that. I was like, what do your parents do? And he's like, they don't do anything anymore. I'm like, well, how'd you guys make money? And he's like, well, my parents came up with a hamburger coaster. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, the bottom coaster was a bun, and then there was the lettuce, and you had the meat, and you had the tomato, and you got this, and they made $14 million off that in 1986.
So they had like a little stand, and you would
A little fucking stand that looked like a hamburger, but it was fucking
and
6
you'd
coasters.
spread them out and use each individual coaster. But then when you put
Chuckle, bye. But I mean, but dude, seriously, that actually was, I mean, those kind of things is what kind of makes me tick, right? So those parents had a good idea and they had this product and they came up with a coaster that's shaped like a hamburger and they made $14 million off that. They don't have to work ever again. So it's like, that was always in my head. Like, wow, you can actually do something really unique and different and make money on that. So then that's when I was 24, 25, I was like, Christmas one time, and they're kissing underneath the mistletoe, and because I'm perverted or whatever, but I just thought, dude, mistletoe belt buckle, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
So, and 6 months later, what did someone come out with?
Mistletoe belt buckle.
I missed my window.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. And even Rolly Pro, 3 years before Rolly Pro came out, I was doing the foam roller brush from Home Depot. Mm-hmm. And all I had to do was make that foam black and call it the rivet hammer and sell it for $20, and I would have been a millionaire.
Yeah.
So that was a good lesson. So who had the first DVD, proper DVD in the industry? I did. Who had the first streaming service? I did. Who's the first company to do OEM program? We are. So that was a good lesson. Whereas, like, granted, I mean, I'd be much prouder today to say I had fucking the mistletoe belt buckle and I was a millionaire and here's my Lear jet.
Yeah, but you're still positioned pretty well. I mean,
pretty well. You know, and I'm happy, and I just think you will see. The next couple of years will be interesting. The new website I'm excited about because I think now is the first time that we actually have a true website that's for our members.
Okay, so what's the big difference? What's the big changes? Can you talk about it?
Oh, for sure. It's level 1 is going to be good. It's searchability. The search on our site right now is horrible. Right now, it's very hard to find a video.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of, I don't know how well the new search part of it is going to be, but I mean, it's going to be, that's a challenging for anybody that has as much content as you have to be able to get through that. It's a challenge, right?
Not anymore, though.
No?
I mean, well, it was. I mean, just the person who built the site before my partner died just didn't build a good website, and it was just like, so it's just a whole story on that. But with AI and my team right now, I have a good team where we have an algorithm that we put in Chatbot GPT, and we bring in the transcript, and it creates this algorithm here, and it creates the thing for each video, and then we put that in an algorithm on the back end, and now you can search. Great, so that's going to be much easier for members, right? And now we have playlists. We have a playlist called Corners.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's just about corners, right? No, but that's what I want to give her. So it's like Netflix. You're going to just scroll down and you're going to choose your playlist. And it's not a playlist just on techniques. It's going to be fun stuff. But now you can search for stuff. So that's one. Number 2 is you can create your own playlist now. So if you're a shop owner now, you create a custom playlist for your employees and say, watch this. Now we have a directory. So hopefully I send you an email. So you have exclusive discounts. So by the end of the year, we'll probably have 60 discounts that are just amazing for our members. And the biggest thing is we have what's called TWI Town Live, because for years, I mean, I'm finally listening to my wife, right? Because for years, my wife would give me advice and I would just, I just was stubborn or I was too busy and stuff like that. Now, 2 years ago, she's like, Justin, all your members want is just you and Reiner and Jimas and just to be able to talk to you. So just go live every week. And I was just like, no, I'm too busy. So finally, we're going live once a week. So if you're a platinum member, $30 a month, you get to talk to Reiner or myself or Jimas once a week, every Thursday at 5 o'clock. We tune in, we have a topic, and you can ask us questions, and we have the news for the week, and it's just going to stream to members. So this is for premium platinum members. So it's a chance because that's great for us because we don't have to make a video, and it gives us a chance to show the videos. Like this week, this is the video we did, and here's what you should highlight. And they're like, oh.
Well, and then there's an opportunity there too for them to feed you ideas for new videos.
100%.
Yeah.
But also now,
if you hear enough problems, you get enough people that come through those lives and ask the same questions over and over again. It's like, well, now it's time to make another video.
Well, I mean, my biggest mistake as a owner and of the Rap Institute, and something that I feel like what we give for the money is great, but we don't really interact with our members as much. We just kind of like, we think this is good, we'll throw it out.
Yeah.
And the stuff is good, the quality is good, the content is good, but we don't mix with them much, right? And that's just maybe not my personality so much.
Are you proud of it?
The Rap Institute?
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think what we've done.
You should be. I'm just curious.
We've changed lives for sure. Yeah. But is it a company that is truly representative of where I want my vision? It's hard because I'm doing trainings for Avery. I'm doing this. So, but now we have a team, right? So my point is right now we have something where I think with these live sessions now, we can give our members what they want. And I finally also listened to Michael from Yellow Tools. I mean, I consider Michael a very good friend, right? Mm-hmm. I spend the night at his house. He's cool. I mean, I call him up when I want to talk. He calls me up.
He gave me a book.
That's a cool book.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah.
And he just told me, what I like about his company is he listens to his customers. He really listens and adapts his company to what he wants. And it's not my personality to really get into, and, I don't listen to podcasts. I don't do this stuff. I used to go to parties, like my record at a party was 4 minutes. Like I used to go to a party, kind of be there and just leave, just to be I was there. But now I'm spending more time and I'm listening to my customers and people, listening to, people in the community. So this is our chance now to listen to our customers and give them what they want, but also to bring in other people. Michael said my biggest problem in 2017, he's like, the WrapOn suit's you. WrapOn suit can't be you, because if it's me, it's got to be me. I mean, a lot of people know Yellow Tools, but they don't know who fucking Michael is. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, that's why we brought in Reiner. That's why we brought in Jemus. That's why we bring in other trainers. That's why we're doing more stuff. So, because I can't be the face all the time. And I can touch stuff. But for me, my biggest passion is Ford. The Ford program for me is, if you've seen it, once you see the program, it's legit. But my point is right now.
When will people start to see it?
Well, the shops already have it. I'm already getting calls from other installers. My favorite thing so far about the Ford program is I'm just getting these texts and emails saying it's the best training program they've ever seen.
Where is it live right now?
Only if you're part of the program.
How do you become part of the program?
I'm Xeno certified. So you have to apply to be Xeno, and you have to be part of the network. I know Molly's mad. But you have to be a commercial, you have to be a color change shop.
Okay.
Right? So you have to be focused on color change. That's what you guys do. That has to be your core competency.
Do you think that limits those guys? Do you think that limits the program by doing that?
No.
Because there's a lot of really good color change guys out there that have print shops that are.
Yeah, but they should pivot. I don't think, Scott,
So you think it's worth pivoting?
I don't think people understand what's coming. Like really, and I could be wrong, and I'm fine if I'm wrong. I don't care. My point is right now.
But you're asking them to bet a lot. You're saying.
What do they bet?
If it doesn't work, if you pivot and you give up that customer base and you say, okay, I'm going to go all in on this stuff.
They just have to be ready. But my point is right now, the shops that are in the program, right? If the faucet gets turned on, the industry has never seen a faucet from an OEM turn on.
Sure.
And if it's turned on the way I think it's going to be turned on, you better be ready. Right, and that's my job, is to create a program that can volume, and XIX is creating a program that can handle the admin and scale. So I think those two things are going to help, and the industry's never had that support. But my point is, once you see the program and you see how we set up the templates and set up all that kind of stuff, you're going to be like, oh, cool. I think they'll be able to pivot, and they'll pivot quick. They don't have to invest anything. They just have to be part of the program.
Well, they got to get certified. They got to get approved.
Yeah, but the certification, just make sure on Instagram you're posting pictures of color changes you've done, because you have to show that you're a legit shop.
Gotcha.
And it has to be a good enough shop where you have an entrance. People can feel comfortable. The Ford customer feels comfortable. It has great because people are like, well, they're asking a lot and stuff like that. Okay, do you want the cars to be done at the dealership, or do you want it to be done at your wrap shop? I'm not trying to be that, but just, dude, do you want the cars, like Tesla's doing cars at the dealership? What is it going to do for your wrap shop? It's going to take money right out. Yeah. That's why Expel stock fucking tanked.
Right.
So my point is right now, it's like, do you want to support this, and do you want the work to come to your shop, or do you want the work to go to dealerships? That's what you have on the line right now. So my point is right now, this is a chance, and this is why Tiago's a cool motherfucker, is the fact that
he's pretty sharp, dude.
He's a sharp dude, but do you understand? He made a deal that's going through wrap shops, and he convinced Ford that it's better to go through wrap shops than dealerships. That is a cool thing, and I don't think people can appreciate what Tiago did for that.
Sure.
And that's why I'm signing up for the program. I'm not teaching this program with Tesla.
Well, I think that's why stuff like this is important, so you can really get these points across, because it seems cut and dry, like on the surface, like it seems, but there's some nuances to new programs that you kind of have to get your teeth sunk into, because I think that there's been, like you said, there's been other programs where people were like, man, if this thing goes through, this is going to be killer. We're going to go gangbusters and make millions of dollars because of this. And then they just didn't. And so it's like, but for this program, the big thing is having, the manufacturers behind it. I think that, that is good.
It's good. It's great. Jim Miller's like, if this kicks in the way it kicks in, I'm shutting my whole shop down. I'm just doing Ford.
Yeah. His Cybertrucks here lately have been great. Like, he is pumping those things out right now.
Cybertrucks. We have 2 new series on the WrapOn suit, and I shot them both at Jim's, color change and a commercial. Here's what, I'm just throwing this out there, right? And we have a new video coming about this on the WrapOn suit soon. Cybertrucks are easy to wrap. For the most part. Once you get the corners figured out and stuff like that, it's pretty easy for the most part. My only concern that in 2 or 3 years, when these wraps start coming off, they ain't coming off. dude, this is gonna be a fucking shit show.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't want to be. I mean, who knows? I hope I'm wrong.
Sure. You're not.
But Jin from Test Bros. Do you know? Have you?
Oh,
heard?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just texted me yesterday. He's a good friend of mine.
He's-
Dude,
I
his
like-
business model, he's
I had dinner with him. I really enjoyed.
he's
the guy.
the real deal.
Oh, he's the real deal.
And he's chill as fuck. Like he's like,
Mm.
yeah, I like him.
No, I hope to shoot some videos with him. And that's
Really?
kind of the plan. Oh, for sure. But he just said he put he's an Avery's #1 seller, PPF or whatever. So he did a door for a video.
That's a
and
big deal.
oh, for sure. Dude,
Like
I don't
that-
think people get what he's doing.
That I don't think people have a fucking clue what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's so like dialed in to his little space that he's not making. He should be on headlines. He'll be on the podcast. He's already.
Oh, for sure.
He's coming down. I mean,
hope so.
but he's such a. But his business model. He's not only is he the largest for Avery, he's also the largest buyer of 2080 in the industry right now.
How crazy is that?
That is insane.
Well, good for him. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
He's a monster.
But he's a cool guy too.
Oh yeah, level
But
head.
that's my point. It's
And
like
he's got like 6 people that work up there. I think. Like,
more than that.
is it more?
Yeah, but it's a big space. I mean, they do, but I mean, what he's doing is cool. My point though is he put Avery on a door and tried to take it off the next day, and he's doing fucking
Oh, yeah.
45 minutes to take off that door, and it's been on for a day. So my point, but in a way, I'm concerned because I mean, is that going to give the rap industry a bad reputation in 2 years? I don't know. Not that I'm that concerned about it,
Well,
but I'm just saying it is interesting
yeah.
to think that in 2
It
or
needs to
3
be on
years,
your radar. I hear
that
it.
it's going to affect the stainless steel. It's not going to come off very easy. It's not going to come off. Period.
I lay back and I'm watching and listening and seeing where the industry's going and how people move and how they pivot. And when we took on this new studio, it was like, this is exciting. Like we want to make sure that we're utilizing the space. Part of that was doing content for brands making videos.
Sure.
And since we've been here, are you familiar with Vinyl Off?
No.
Brothers Chemical. They were out of Nashville.
I've heard of vinyl up there. I think they sell on Fellers and stuff like
Yep.
that. Yeah, okay.
So they have a super interesting product, and the guys that own it are just super fucking cool. They're just great guys, and it's a whole story. Their story is really cool. But I had an opportunity to work with them. It's an old company, but these guys have only had it for a few years, and they're working at it really hard. And so we did some testing for them, and we used it, and it's a good product. It's a damn good product.
Yeah, that's cool.
I had tried it. So I had a sign shop 12 years ago where we had some bad removals and we used it, but it worked really well on cut graphics, right? Like it got through. So the idea is that it gets through the material, gets under the adhesive, and helps it release from the substrate.
Sure.
So anyway, we did the video for him. Went fantastic. Everything's been good. But when I've heard the stainless steel conversation, I kind of look forward to it for those guys because I think their product fits perfect for it. I think it's the solution that people are going to, because don't get me wrong, in 5 years, the material's not going to be on a Cybertruck isn't going to be completely wore out, right? Like the UV damage on it isn't going to be terrible. That the normal issues aren't going to be the issue. The issue is going to be the adhesion.
100%.
They got to get the adhesive to separate from the car, right? That's what they do. Right.
But
So
still,
I'm not saying they're going to be the answer, and it's not going to be. I'm not saying they're going to be the cure all.
Right.
But having in the back of my mind, I keep that because that conversation came up a few times. That it doesn't matter what training class you take, they tell you it's not for stainless steel. They have a material for stainless steel. Some manufacturers
3M,
have. Yeah. Some companies, but I'm sure there's other ones too. I don't know. I would assume.
But I mean, think about, out of all the films too, PPF, how fun is that going to be?
Oh, it's going to be a nightmare.
So, yeah. But
Anyway, that's a shout out to Brothers Chemical. I'm excited to them, and I hope when people run into that issue, they consider their product.
But but even then, I hate the. For me, I'm always thinking about. At the same time, there's part of me the things I built my whole career putting stickers on cars that are then going in the landfill. That does bother me a little bit, So that is something that So I'm trying to limit, and that's what we try to do in the Rap Institute. Is at least try to lower the waste in landfill and do stuff, and that's why I like PU products coming out because I think they're going to last better. So. But that being said, we're looking forward to 2 or 3 years down the line, pouring these chemicals on cars that are like. Yeah. So it's like I get it, but who knows? But at the same time, is it great for rapping right now to see all these Cybertrucks and they're getting wrapped and social media is blowing up,
especially
like
for Jim. Like I said, he's doing a ton of them. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, Jim's got a good shop.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for Jim. I'm happy with Jim's dollar.
Well, how does that? You've been down there a few times.
Sure.
Does that? is that something that you're going to do more often? Like, are you doing more classes down there? Like,
Well, Avery's booking workshops there, so I'll probably be there 2 or 3 times a year. And the Rap Institute is based there, our trailer and stuff like that. So, who knows? You know, I mean, I just with the Rap Institute, I don't know what we're doing, but yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of their
I
shop.
seen a video that you had posted that you genuinely looked excited about like having stations down there, and like it was cool. It was I was excited for you. I was like, damn, that's cool, man. He's still you kind of look like you lit up a little bit, like you know, I don't know.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, okay, for the Avery workshops, I love what I do for them in the sense that, like, right now I go, you know, I generally go to 20 to 30 shops a year, right? And I get to go to great shops. Like I was just, you know, at Atlantic Wraps. I go to Casey Folks shop. You know, I do also, you know, PDX Wraps. So I get to go to these shops, but I'm limited in the sense that I have 3 rent-a-cars, and the rent-a-cars for the most part are the same. Right, I don't have a box truck. I don't have recess doors. So I tell my story, and I've had a good story for 14 years, and I adapt it, and I change it, and I work with the group, and I feel like my workshops are better than ever. I've never taught better workshops right now, so I'm excited about it. But again, I have a limited palette. So at Jim's was the first time that I could just be like, we have 5 recess doors. What kind of story? I could show inside, outside. I could show cut and drop. Then I had box truck, and then I had hoods, and then I had 16 door handles, and I had mirrors, and I just had my full playground, you know, and I just had stuff that I never had before. So I was super excited, you know, and it was also in a good shop.
Do you prefer big classes or smaller classes?
Love big classes.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Dude, they're intense.
No, easy. Way easier for a bigger class.
Why?
If I have enough space and I have enough cars, I can tell a really good story, and I'm really good at keeping people moving and keeping the class fresh. I keep it in the right position. I can touch all the babies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. At 16 to 20 is my sweet spot.
That's a ton of people, dude.
Yeah, but I think what I'm giving them in the story and how I'm doing it, and I have enough material that I think is a good story.
Is it pretty consistent? Your spiel, your
You know, it's funny. You know, this gets into, you know, I'm kind of esoteric and stuff like that, you know, mythology and symbolism. I played football. I grew up in Boise, Idaho. I live in Amsterdam. You know, one of my favorite musicians is Bob Dylan. Like, I love Bob Dylan. You know, I just grew up in college with him, and I just think he's super smart. You've seen the great Scorsese. He's done a couple documentaries on him. Very interesting guy. Fucking genius. Really smart dude. And he's been on tour, like, basically since 1977. Like, he could have been super famous, done big stadiums, and he just totally nixed it. And he just does his own thing. And he's been on the road almost every year since 1978. Really intense. And he sometimes, like, for a while, he was driving his own bus. He'd get done with his concert and drive the bus. And, you know, he's an interesting guy. My point is he changes the song every time. So he never plays the same song, the same time, same way, always changing the song. He plays it different every time. And I read that years ago, and I was like, I'm going to do that same thing with a workshop. Every workshop I do is different. It's never the same. I don't say the same things. Yeah, sometimes I'll tell the same jokes or kind of the same thing, but the story will always change. And that's what keeps my workshops fresh, is my story will always be relevant to where the industry's at, because I'm so tuned into where the industry's at and what these people need to hear in terms of business, the techniques they need to use. Sometimes I dumb it down if I feel like they're big. Sometimes I can go up. And so right now with my skills and how much I've taught, I can really dial it in and give those people exactly what they need. And it's never really, I said, I'm going to teach you how to rap, but I don't care about that. I'm going to teach you how to rap and make good choices. So more and more, I'm asking them, why am I doing this? Even though I know they don't do it, I want them to figure out the why. Because if they figure out the why, then they can be good on their own. If I don't teach them the why and I just tell them to teach how to door handle, they don't understand why it does what it does. But then once they understand why, it makes them successful.
How does that convert over with the other trainers? Because with the Avery classes, you guys got a handful of good trainers right now, right?
Yeah, but I mean, they fit a certain DNA too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
well, they're all over the place. Like, you can't compare Blake and John, right? Like, they're on 2 different ends of the spectrum.
Well,
I like them both. Yeah.
But the core is the same. So John's John. John's John.
For sure. If you don't think so, just ask him. He'll tell you.
Well, that's who he is. Yeah. He's got a lot of, so but his DNA is the same. John's and I core is the same. The next person up was, Chad Parrish, who's no longer with the team, but Chad is great, and so Smiley, when we do stuff, I would do stuff and he's like, I get it, but he has his own jam, but the core of what we do is exactly the same. That's why those trainers are strong. Then Charlie came on. Charlie's dope.
He's cool as well.
And Blake's good, Blake came on. So I just feel like, what I like about the Avery program, this comes back to Avery, is like, I'm technically the head trainer and I created the program and they like the program. They like the values. The values of the program are It's innovative. It changes, but it's all based on business. It's about workflow. It's about doing things right. And I really feel like, Avery allows me to set the professional standard for the industry. And that's what I've always tried to do is like, this is a standard.
It's a pretty bold statement.
Who else is doing it?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, but not to say not that was a conscious choice, but I'm just saying like, I show up on time. I try not to screw people around. I try to make people's lives better. I try to show techniques that actually work, that don't have a hidden agenda. And this helps you grow better. And I feel like I have 14 years of almost sold out workshops that I do help change. When people come back to me and says, you taught me how to run a business.
Now, that almost sounds like a real simple recipe for success. You know what I mean? But all that stuff is not the easiest thing in the world to deliver. I mean, I would say that's probably why there's so few people that do it.
It's extremely easy to deliver.
Really?
How can you not?
I don't know.
No, but seriously, how can you sleep at night and not do that? And there's people in this industry who's gone up and down. Mm-hmm. And again, I hate to come back to Frank, but he's always a good industry. Like there's someone who's come into the industry, and this is when I was new, and I didn't know. And I said, this person was making a lot of noise and doing stuff that I really disagreed with morally. And he's like, let that person be that person. Just don't worry about them. You be you. They'll take care of themselves. Just shut up and quit crying. And I was like, cool.
And that was coming from Frank.
Yeah. And he said, you just do what you do. Just let them be, and so it kind of comes back and that person burnt themselves out and that person burnt themselves out and that person burnt themselves out. Let people do what they do. I know what I like to do and I know the standard that I like to do. I don't like to, what I'm saying? So this is the level I like to do. So how do I gauge my success, right? Does ISA give us a platform? Sure. Does XIX believe in us to run the forward program? Sure. Does Avery make me the head trainer? Cool. Am I doing what I'm doing? Is what I'm doing working? Does the rad company believe in me to do a product line? Cool. Does that tell me I'm doing everything right? Cool. Does that make me cocky? No, but it makes me believe that my message is good enough that these very powerful business owners are much bigger than I am, think that I have a message and a value and a value to bring to the customers that also has a business model too. That means that I'm doing something good. I'm not, I don't have 500 people working for me like Frank Fellers or 36,000 people like Avery Dennison. I have 12 people, but what my message is doing is helping things grow. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
And that helps me when I'm not home with my family and daughter, that I know my wife is taking care of Tiger Lily and Tiger Lily is a cool girl because of that. And I'm also building a company that she can grow from, and people don't understand. I do travel a lot.
You do.
But I was just home for a month.
Oh, okay.
And I was Papa. And I'm going to Dallas and I go to LA and then I shoot a week of videos for Ford after that. But then I go to Thailand for 3 weeks and then I have 3 weeks at home with my family and stuff like that. And then I have another 4 weeks off at Christmas time. So I do spend a lot of time. I just don't put that on social media.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that I told you that earlier. I think that's why this is so important. A lot of people, there's a bunch of people that I would like to do podcasts with, but I don't know if it's ego or just scared or just it's not their jam or whatever. But right. I think it's important. I think people need to see this side of you. They need to know who Papa Justin is. That's just not. They don't ever get to see that. You don't let them in on that. And really, it's none of their business. But I think it's important for them to know that you're not just a machine. That you're a real person. Because just watching you, dude, it's unreal. Like the stuff that you're doing a lot and very fast.
It's called ADD, my friend.
Well, yeah, but it's like somehow caged ADD or something. I don't know.
Okay. You came back to it earlier. You talked about focus.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, I remember years ago, we did a business boot camp. John and I did that. Right. And I was happy to do that 50-50 with them. So we did Avery, we did 50-50. It was cool. And first we needed a guest speaker. So we asked Frank to go, Frank Fellers. Mm-hmm. So we had Frank come in and he gave the speech. And at the end, the whole group was around. I think there was like 40 people. They're all in a circle and Frank did a speech. And Frank's book, his mentor is this guy who wrote a book called Focus. I forget the guy's name. So Frank had a big box and he says, I'm going to give you all a copy of Focus. So he handed it around, did a whole circle, handed everyone a book, handed one to John. And then he walked right past me, handed the next person. Just totally skipped me. And I was like, dude, where's my book? And he's like, you don't need a book. You're the most focused person I know. And kept on walking. And I was like, I still want a book, motherfucker. But that was, what did that say to me? And this is back in 2016. Out of all those people in the room, Frank skipped me. And what did he do? He gave me a prop. He's like, you don't need a book. You're the most focused person I know.
Yeah, but,
that was a compliment. It was cool.
Yeah, but how do you not let something like that go to your head in 2016? Dude, you could
go to your head. What am
I? Frank Fellers is a big deal.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
dude, no one's a big deal. Everyone's got to put on a pair of pants.
Sure.
Well, you have to understand. That's why I love my wife.
Okay.
Right. Anyone you can name, my wife has met, she's interviewed, she's done stuff. She knows everyone. The first 2 months I met my wife, I thought she was a journalist who wrote for a small little newspaper in the Netherlands. No clue. And I Googled her and I freaked the fuck out. No, seriously. And I was like, I didn't know you're famous. She's like, who cares? Fame comes and goes. Doesn't matter. These people are people. They're just doing what they love. They're just people.
I wonder if that comes from her interviewing him, like kind of getting to know him a little bit. I wonder, like, seeing behind that curtain.
It's very Dutch.
Oh, is it?
It's just Dutch. And she just, when she was 14, she had contacts for the first time. So she always wore glasses. As soon as she got contacts, this guy was like, you should be a model. She's like, I don't want to be a model. He's like, why would you be a model? He's like, you can make lots of money. She's like, I don't care about money. And he's like, well, you can be famous. She's like,
it's starting to make more sense why you married her, really. I mean,
well, but
sounds like she's gorgeous, she's level, she's smart, she's not money driven. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
It helps.
Checks all the boxes.
No, but I mean, it was magical for me because at the same time I feel the same. So my point is like, but then he says you can travel the world for free, and she's like, I'm in. So imagine being 14 years old and she was in Germany by herself for 5 days, and she just started doing it. She was traveling to Japan and doing stuff. So, but the thing is, I mean, so she has that in her DNA, but she's doing famous things just because she can travel and have fun.
Right.
So she's not doing it with a hidden agenda. So I'm doing these things and I happen to be well known. Like I walk in and it was cool to be we were at Ferrari with an APA event, and I walked into the shop and the owner came up right to me and was like, hey, what's up? So they knew me at Ferrari, which is cool.
Yeah, is that cool?
Who cares? I mean, not in the sense that, like, don't get me wrong. Sorry, when I say who cares, what I mean is that just is a testament to a platform of learning that I built that people believe in and they respect. And that's what I like. Yeah. I don't see it as an ego thing. It just means that what I'm doing is right, and my whole agenda. And this is where I think some people see me and they think I'm cocky or I think I'm egotistical. And maybe I am, and maybe I just don't see it. And I definitely have my moments of being a dick. But seriously, my point is right now, I do feel like I'm coming out with something that's altruistic, that I attract people like Rainer Lawrence or Jimas Brazil, who I feel like are extremely stand-up people, and even Marco Schott, who's my partner, stuff like that, where they believe in what we're doing. They really believe in the never stop learning attitude and helping make people's lives better. Like, we are changing people's lives. Like, our slogan now is empowering people to do, to rap in, I can't remember, to rap and inspire, to empower and inspire people to rap in a professional way or an efficient way.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're doing right now. And that's what I've always felt. So at the end of the day, people are like, oh, you're famous. Who cares? Really? Frank Fellers, was he famous big? I just thought Frank was a cool guy who was really passionate about rapping and really wanted to make people better. At the end of the day, he just was passionate about cars. Was he a capitalist? For sure. But at the end of the day, I know Frank in a way that I thought he was just a really cool dude. Right? Yeah. Abby, really cool woman. They were running businesses and stuff. But at the end of the day, I really appreciate their DNA, which is Abby's created an amazing team around her. That's a testament to Abby. So Thiago has created a cool company, but he created a company. Dude, think about it. That guy really pushed forward to do it in rap shops. I don't think people get that. So Thiago is really someone I want to work with because I appreciate his morals and stuff like that. So yeah, being famous is great, but what does it mean? Like, when I go to Bangkok and I'm on the beach or something like that, do you think they give a shit about me? They don't even know who I am. Who cares? I treat everyone the same.
Right. No, but that you've been around enough people. You've seen it go to their people's heads, and you can see
for
it.
Sure.
I mean, it happens.
I think at a certain point I was pretty arrogant, for sure. I think I had moments where I could come across as arrogant. I was kind of short, and I'd get reactive and emotional and stuff like that. And I think I've had my moments for sure, but I try to gauge it and I try to be as open as I can. But yeah, I think there's times where I wasn't so cool, for sure.
What do you think it comes from?
Being tired, being lazy.
Yeah.
Not being aware, not being present. And I think the more you're present, I think the more you're honest and stuff like that. I think you also just kind of not get caught up in the emotions. Like when I used to get pissed at other people, and I learned my lesson to just step back and let them be, the more I can be myself and just trust in what I do. If the rap suit goes down in 6 months, will I be sad? Not at all. I did my best. I did what I could. It was like my daughter. She did her best at school. Does she get a 10 out of 10 or does she get a 7 sometimes out of, the score system? As long as I feel like she did her best, I could care less if she gets a 2, as long as I can see that she put in the time. I put in my time, and if I'm successful, great. If I'm not successful, great. I did my best.
So I asked about the trainers earlier. For a while, it was pretty much just you, right? Doing the for the Avery classes?
For Avery, yeah. For sure.
So now it's kind of seems like now that you've added, you've got this big group of people that kind of separates you a little bit. Was that intentional? Like, were you trying to, I mean, how many
What do
classes?
you mean separates you?
Well, just say, I don't know how many classes does Avery do in a year?
Well, I mean, it started off with 8, and then they went to 16, and then went to 20. And I said it's too much. We need to bring someone else on. And then John came on. I mean, last year got up to 125, and that includes the
125 classes.
Yeah, 10
Holy
BPF. That's
shit.
a lot. I think this year is down to 95 or something like that. So yeah, it's a lot.
So around 100 classes.
Sure.
And you guys spread those out over 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah, I think John is limited to like 12. He likes
Okay.
to stay home, and I think I probably still do the most. I kind of took it down a little bit to kind of do the Ford program, but yeah, I mean, I still think.
But it gives you that having a good group like that allows you to have a little bit more flexibility. Whereas, you don't have to do every single one of them.
No, I mean, I still do a lot. I still do the most, but I mean, but I'm also learning how to be a leader. I was a freelance installer. I never had a company. So I just kind of did me and did my thing. So I'm having to learn how to, run the Rap Institute and be a leader of that. But also within the trainers, I'm one who's just like, okay, here's the core, you guys figure it out. And sometimes there's just gaps of communication. So now we have the group chats and we have the stuff and we check in and now we do stuff. So now I'm learning to, you do have to touch people and keep that core. And I'm learning that and to keep the program integral.
Some of that you're doing with the Avery program, does it translate over to the Rap Institute? Like, are you learning stuff over here that you can apply in your, it's practical and do like running the Rap Institute business?
No,
it's two completely different things.
Well, I mean, the Rap Institute's a unicorn. It's a really interesting, complicated company to run, mainly because I don't do it full time. The Rap Institute's not in Amsterdam; it's in Germany. So it's a really difficult company to run because I have some people working in Asia, I have some people working in Germany, I have some people working in America. So there's all these time zones.
Interesting. It seems like it would be a lot easier.
Oh, it's it's a complicated beast, but it's about to get more simple. But I'm just saying it's just been a very complicated beast, especially during COVID. I mean, I have a company in Germany, a company in the Netherlands, a company in America. Just that taxes alone, the accounting is fucking mind-boggling.
Yeah, but from the outside looking in, if somebody was looking at what you've done, I mean, nowadays, right? Like you just go and start up a Wix website, rip out your cell phone, take some videos of you rapping something, explain it, and post it on the internet.
Cool.
Seems easy enough, right?
Yeah, it's changed.
But that's not the case.
Well, it's not. I mean, I think when people take the workshop, I think the new website will help because I think people go to the Rap Institute now and the website's okay and that'll change in a week. But I tell people, okay, what did you, people come in, I say, how you learn? And they're like, oh, we watch CK Raps or we watch, and there's nothing against him. No, but I'm serious. He has his own jam and I think he's done good stuff for the industry. They watch Paradox, people make fun of Paradox. I learned so much from teaching Paradox. I was really against that. I thought that was, I'm not against it, but I was like, do we really want to do this? And Mark was like, this is going to be cool, and I'm glad we did that. I learned a lot.
You say Mark?
Marcos. He's my
Marcos.
partner.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
For the Rap
Yep.
So that was cool. But my point is like, people watch on YouTube and people watch on TikTok and when I asked them in the class. And then after the end of the class, I said, is what I'm teaching you different than YouTube? And they're like, oh my God, it's completely different. I said, well, this is what you're going to get on the Rap Institute. So the Rap Institute's been this little secret. And now it's about to become hopefully a big secret, just because we are going to make it more open and more accessible to the public. They're still going to have to buy to get to the good stuff.
But you said it earlier that it's not really, you didn't set it up for the DIY guys, right? Like it wasn't made for that.
No, but I think again, times are changing.
Really?
I think what Test Bros, what Jin's doing,
Okay.
is it legit what he's doing?
I think so.
And he's filming. He's a film. He went to school for that. I mean, that's what he's good at. So he's a good guy and he knows the stuff and he knows templates and 3D scans and stuff like that. That's where it's going to go.
Sure.
Cool. And dude, the public right now wants to learn.
And just the changes inside the website and the Ford program, just those two things alone, man, that's a lot. That's a big undertaking.
But again, if it happened 5 years ago, I wouldn't be able to do it.
Gotcha.
Because I have a team.
The team. Yeah.
And that helps, and it's also making the right adjustments and having support like ISA. I come back to ISA. Craig and Lori have given me a lot of support and they're coming into the Rap Institute and helping them.
And that's cool. Like what you do down there at the show, I think
that's the fucking coolest show.
Dude, it's neat. It really is.
Hopefully we don't, hopefully next year it's going to be much bigger next year. So
bigger?
By far.
It's big now.
It's going to be way bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah. So I just like it because the vibe in there, they actually they had cameras throughout ISA this year just to gauge where people were smiling.
Oh.
Just to see which booths made
some AI stuff?
Yeah. They had cameras everywhere that was judging facial recognition, and it's just seeing where people smile. It's cool. And which booth had the most smiles by far?
Knife Tucker.
Knife tuckered.
100%. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Every one of them left smiling.
Just huge smiles.
Yeah. Now you might have been lucky to be in proximity, and maybe you
now
got
that
some
I
of
say it, because I think that was the residual we're getting now. I have to go.
It was the wave.
I'll talk
to
I say
it's fine.
because the smile didn't come off their face.
But that is cool that they have that data for you to be able to see that. Like that's pretty strong of a show. I don't know if that's common. Is that?
No, it's the first time they did it. Just
Okay.
to see. Yeah. So I mean, that's what gets me excited. So yeah, the Never Stop Learning contest is I just like it because it's just this. I mean, I don't see that many people smile for that long. It's just really special.
For people that don't know, can you just a quick what it is and how it works?
Yeah. So if you go to the ISA show, there's a big, and next year it'll be like a whole area by itself. So basically, it's sponsored this year. We had 5 manufacturers basically, and you get 3 people per trainer, and there's 5 trainers. And basically, within 75 minutes, you get to learn how to wrap a recess door, a kitchen, stuff like that. And then the team that gets the best score of knowledge, because you have to answer questions, and also quality of the install. And it could be someone who's never picked up a squeegee, which we encourage, or professionals. So it's open to anyone. They win prizes. We had over $50,000 worth of prizes, which is cool. Yeah. So it was just, but it's just you get a free workshop with like Crystal or Reiner or anyone, Gemas, and you get to learn, which is really special. But also you get free tools, and it's a competition, but it's not a competition.
Was it your idea?
Yeah.
So it's kind of your baby, and
well, because I've seen other competitions, and it is at the end of the day a competition, and I wanted something that was open to all levels. So
it didn't have that overwhelming competition feel though. You know what I
that's
mean?
the point. But when you make
Right.
this is the first year where they're like, well, the prizes are $50,000.
Oh right, yeah. It's like
before the prices were like 20.
Sure.
And this year I was like, we got $50,000 worth of prizes. It was a lot. So that's where it was the first time that people actually were starting to
get serious.
Yeah.
Got to get that. We want to win.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
So that gets me excited.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, man, I appreciate you coming on. I can't tell you enough. I've almost said it like 4 times that like I know this is different for you, and I don't know. Have you ever done a podcast before?
I did a podcast back in the day with Simon. I did 2 of them, but I did it from my house remote, and it was like 20 minutes and something like that. And
yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm really happy I did it, and I'm really happy that you're tying this up because I've had to pee now for about 10 minutes.
I told you when we started. At any point you wanted to stop.
We should put like a porta potty here, and I could just pee while we talk.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because that means that you could keep going, and so you must enjoy it.
No, it was cool. I mean, actually, I went with it, and it was great, and it was like, it was nice to kind of open up and put this out there. So
yeah, I appreciate you doing that.
I appreciate
like I said, your time. I mean, you're a busy guy, so for you to take the time to come up,
that was cool.
Kind of set back. So, I can't say thanks enough.
No, thank you. And you did your homework on the questions and stuff like that. So good for you.
Yeah, trying to stay prepared.
Yeah, we should.
Normally we pull up a little bit more, but man, we were just rolling.
Talking fast. Dude.
I'm telling you, it's like, let's go. So
yeah.
Anyway, all right. Thanks again.
Thank you, Scott.
Lambert, we good?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. Let's go.